Chapter 1058. You guys continue, I'll accept it. Chapter 1058. You guys continue, I'll accept it. Waves of terrifying undulations came from above the skies. The people fighting were actually all void mystic realm powerhouses. Hidajiang, you despicable SCU, to actually take advantage of when we're fighting with the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma to ambush me. Ha ha. Natural treasures are obtained by those fated. Shu Yunqing, you're already severely wounded and absolutely not my match. Resign yourself to fate. Pooh. Today, my heavenly dawn palace will not rest until your 7 absolute city is dead. You old fogey, how troublesome. At this rate, none of us can get any benefits. Turns out that the 2 parties fighting intensely in the sky were people from the Heavenly Dawn Palace and the 7 Absolute City. The strength of each and every one of the medicine spirits in the million-year region pierced the heavens. Even experts like Shu Yunqing and Hidajiang found it hard to gain any advantage too. But the spirit medicines in this million-year region, as long as one stock was brought back, that would be extremely precious. Even for major factions like super holy lands, it would be akin to obtaining a treasure. When Yi Yuan heard the name Ice Flame, Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma, his heart involuntarily stirred. The reason why he searched until here was for the sake of the Ice Flame, Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma. In the sky, Shu Yunqing fought 3-on-1, appearing very ragged, while Ding Zhonghua maintained the array formation with all his strength, trapping the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma that was currently rampaging. It was not that he did not wish to help Shu Yunqing, but it was really that he was completely powerless to do anything. A 1,000,000-year-old ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma already transformed into a half-humanoid, half-demon appearance. Its appearance was very odd, especially that polyporous head, which looked extremely comical. However, no one could laugh. Its strength virtually made people despair. Ding Zhonghua was hailed as an existence second only to the Grand Yen Divine King in the Divine Realm. His formation's path strength was transcendent, but currently he could only barely maintain the array formation to not be breached. If he withdrew the array formation, he would be the first one to bear the brunt. The first one that the medicine spirit would want to kill would be him. Through just a few words, Yi Yuan already figured out the sequence of events. It was definitely the Heavenly Dawn Palace who discovered the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma first. Ding Zhonghua laid down an array formation to trap the medicine spirit, while Shu Yunqing took charge of attacking. In the end, they were ambushed by Hidajiang's party. Shu Yunqing getting injured, facing Hidajiang's party of 3 mighty void mystic experts. How could he still be a match? Fought until pretty lively. You guys continue. This ice flame, mystic sovereign Ganoderma, I'll accept it on your behalf. Yi Yuan leaped and arrived beside Ding Zhonghua's array formation. Yi Yuan's sudden appearance startled everyone. Gee, brat, you dare? Hidajiang nearly jumped up. He had expended a considerable price for this ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma. Originally, he thought that victory was within grasp, did not expect someone to throw a wrench into the works. Yi Yuan said smilingly, "Why wouldn't I dare? A 1,000,000-year-old ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma. TSK. This is good stuff." Wu Yuanxiao saw Yi Yuan, and his flames of fury immediately billowed to the skies. He had suffered a major loss at Yi Yuan's hands this time, resulting in him having to go through the method of signing his life away before he could obtain time to purge the poison and treat his wounds. Although the bulk of the poison was forced out at present, there was still a small part of residual poison that could not be forced out. This reduced his strength greatly. "Brother I cannot live under the same sky with Ji Qingyun. Shu Yunqing is already a spent force, nothing to fear. I'll go and kill this punk." Wu Yuanxiao gritted his teeth and said, He Dajiang's expression fell slightly, and he said, Fine, I'll support this side. Get it over with quickly. He expended such a huge price before severely injuring Shu Yunqing. He was naturally unwilling to give the fruit that landed in his hand to Yi Yuan. It was only to see a lightning flash. Wu Yuanxiao tore through the air and arrived, his speed swift to the extreme. Prepare to die, Ji Qingyun. His voice had yet to reach, but his person arrived first. Towards this, Yi Yuan seemed to be completely oblivious. He actually turned around and slowly walked over towards Ding Zhangguo's array formation. Bang! A Ma.'s Civ Dragon Claw suddenly appeared, sending Wu Yuanxiao back with a slap. Wu Yuanxiao somersaulted quite a few times in the air before barely managing to stand still. You trash to actually dare be disrespectful towards my lord. This old man will tear you apart today. Ao Qian said in a solemn voice. This scene stunned everyone. They were all guarding against Jiang Taitsong and Wu Luo taking action. Did not expect that the Ao Qian overlooked by them all along. The moment he made his move, it was earth-shattering. Void mystic powerhouses did not have much difference from ordinary peak divine kings in terms of cultivation realm. Not taking action, one could not tell at all. But Ao Qian's attack just now astonished everyone. When was there another void mystic powerhouse by Yi Yuan's side? Moreover, this void mystic powerhouse seemed to be very extraordinary, especially He Dajiang. Him witnessing that blow from Ao Qian, his entire person was in a state of confusion. These super holy lands, by roping, pulling, tugging, lugging, also just SCR, ped together 3 void mystic powerhouses. In less than 10 days' time, 3 void mystic powerhouses appeared by this Yi Yuan's side all of a sudden. Did they still want people to live? Wu Yuanxiao was even more astonished until his shock could not be any greater. He thought about finding Yi Yuan to take revenge because it was impossible for those 2 guys that just entered Void Mystic to be his match at all. Who knew that several days of not seeing, Yi Yuan brought an even more terrifying guy and showed up. Shu Yunqing was silent the whole time, but waves of delight gushed up in his heart. He Dajiang was insidious to the max and actually played a mantis stalking the cicada. He probably never would have thought that he was actually eaten by the Oriole now, right? If there wasn't Yi Yuan showing up, he might just perish here today. But regarding Yi Yuan's means, he was also incomparably shocked. This Ao Qian was the most unremarkable existence among Yi Yuan's subordinates. He did not think that in a short 10 days' time, Yi Yuan actually made him become so strong. With their cultivation realm, they were naturally able to tell that because Ao Qian's martial Dao foundation was ruined, that was why his strength would fall drastically. But to let Ao Qian recover to this strength currently, it was not what ordinary medicinal pills could accomplish. Yi Yuan was only first-level Dao profound right now. How did he refine such high-grade medicinal pills? Ao Qian, accompany Wu Yuanxiao to play well. Take revenge for my brother. Yi Yuan's voice transmitted over nonchalantly. Yes, my lord. Ao Qian gave a response. Dragon prancing the 4 seas instantly expanded outward. A terrifying water attribute power of laws rushed over toward Wu Yuanxiao. Wu Yuanxiao's expression changed. Lightning domain instantly expanded out. 2 mighty experts started exchanging blows in the air, just like that. But in a few moves, Wu Yuanxiao's declining trend already showed. He was not Ao Qian's match at all. Seeing this scene, He Dajiang knew that he could not carry on observing from the sidelines anymore, and said to Yu Xinping, I'll go and substitute to Wu Yuanxiao. The 2 of you get the fight over with fast. Quickly take Shu Yunqing down. Done talking, He Dajiang charged right into the group battle. But at this time, Yi Yuan slowly came before Ding Zhanghua, patted his shoulder, and said smilingly, "Old Ding, you've worked hard. I'll go in and subdue it right now." Ding Zhanghua's expression changed and was rather unwilling. Their heavenly dawn palace had expended a considerable price for this ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma, but on second thought, currently this sort of situation, they totally did not have the strength to contend for the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma anymore. You be more careful. This fellow isn't simple. Ding Zhanghua said with a nod. Chapter 1059, Battling Ice Flame, Chapter 1059, Battling Ice Flame glimpsing Yi Yuan entering the array formation with his peripherals, He Dajiang's heart involuntarily palpitated. If Yi Yuan could really subdue the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma, then their group of people would be in danger. Ding Zhanghua's strength was very formidable. At least he was not beneath Wu Yuanxiao. Once he broke free, the Heavenly Dawn Palace would definitely counterattack. At that time, the three of them would be facing three great void mystic powerhouses. The situation would be reversing at once. He Dajiang was also a figure who had made a name for himself long ago. At this time, he did not panic in the face of danger and directly cut into Wu Yuanxiao and Ao Qian's battle, saying with a loud roar, "Quickly go and deal with Xu Yunqing. Take the chance when he's down to claim his life." Wu Yuanxiao's heart turned cold, not expecting the situation to turn around so quickly. This member of the dragon race in front of him, his strength was too fearsome. He Dajiang was also intrepid. His divine king domain was a domain of blades. Battling against Ao Qian, he actually firmly suppressed Ao Qian. These super holy lands deputies, each and every one was Old Monster, CLA. S. Their strength was unfathomable and would normally never reveal their capabilities. But their strength, body dared to underestimate. The 8 great, Holy Land's strongest people were also not at all inferior when compared to the 10 great divine kings. Adding in the foundation of the super holy land, the 10 great divine king would not easily become enemies with them either. As for someone like He Dajiang, he could be said to be the strongest one in the second tier. If Ao Qian recovered all of his strength, he naturally would not fear him. But this state at present, he was still slightly inferior compared to He Dajiang. Currently, He Dajiang was also anxious and immediately opened up with his full firepower, wanting to finish the fight quickly. Even though Ao Qian's strength did not recover to its peak state, and he was still a hair's breadth away compared to He Dajiang, his seniority was far greater than even an old monster like He Dajiang. He knew that He Dajiang was anxious for success and was not in a hurry anymore instead. His dragon prancing, the 4 seas did not look like it had any lethality, but actually it surged with undercurrents. At this time, he went completely on the defensive and defended with a water attribute divine king's domain. It was truly seamless. Even if He Dajiang's domain of blades was any more powerful, it also could not breach the continuous domain of water. At that time, because Xu Yunqing's injuries were too severe, facing Wu Yuanxiao and Yu Xinping duo's pincer attack, he actually appeared to be teetering on his feet. He Dajiang's ambush previously was dealt extremely viciously. Currently, Xu Yunqing could at most unleash 30 to 40% of his full strength. Wu Yuanxiao was also a veteran void mystic powerhouse. Although his strength did not reach He Dajiang's sort of level, it could not be underestimated either. Through a big battle, Xu Yunqing was already increasingly falling short of strength. Jiang Taicong duo exchanged a glance and joined in the group battle very tacitly. Even though the 2 of them had just entered Void Mystic, they were not much worse off compared to Void Mystic powerhouses like Yu Xinping. Fighting 2-on-1 would not fall into a disadvantage either. This way, Shu Yunqing's pressure suddenly eased up. For some time, both sides actually fell into a stalemate. Now, it would depend on when Ding Zhonghua could break free. This battle's balance would utterly lean in favor towards Yi Yuan's side. He Dajiang was secretly anxious, but completely could not breach Ao Qian's defenses. At this very moment, he could only secretly pray that Yi Yuan could not subdue the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma. On his side, Ding Zhonghua operated the array formation with all his power, not daring to ease up in the slightest. The array formation that he laid down was called Profound Heaven Nine Battles Formation. It was one of the most powerful array formation inheritances in the Heavenly Dawn Palace's Ding family. However, even though Ding Zhonghua was hailed as the #1 person in the formation's path beneath the Grand Yan Divine King, his strength compared to Lu Linfeng was still far too lacking. Even this profound Heaven Nine Battles formation, Ding Zhonghua merely comprehended 80%. I'll open up a gap. You take the chance and enter inside the array formation. But there's only a breath of time. Otherwise, once his ice flames creep out, this old man can't resist it either. Ding Zhonghua said. Yi Yuan smiled and said, "No need, I'll just go in myself." Ding Zhonghua was stunned and blurted out, "How are you entering?" His words were only said halfway when he saw Yi Yuan lift his foot and went into the array formation, incomparably effortlessly. Ding Zhonghua opened his eyes wide, looking at this scene in disbelief. How is this possible? Ding Zhonghua muttered to himself. Rumble. Civ impact force made Ding Zhonghua come back to his senses. He hastily put away his thoughts and operated the array formation, stabilizing the array formation. However, the astonishment in his heart could not be any greater. The profound Heaven Nine Battles formation was the Ding family's ultimate ancestral legacy. It was incomparably profound. He had already studied it for several thousand years and also merely comprehended 80%. Even so, ordinary void mystic experts, it was too easy for him to deal with them. Ding Zhonghua knew that Yi Yuan was a Tier 9 formations emperor, but it should not be possible for Yi Yuan to crack the profound Heaven Nine Battles formation with his formation's path level. But now, Yi Yuan entered the array formation so effortlessly. That could only mean that Yi Yuan's formation's path level was at the very least on the same level as him already. What he guessed was right. Yi Yuan comprehended the array formation's 3 volumes. These few years, his formation's path level already had significant improvements. Although it did not reach Lu Linfeng's height yet, entering the profound Heaven Nine Battles formation was nothing difficult. Yi Yuan twirled around inside the array formation and closed in on the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma very quickly. The reason why the ice flame mystic Ganoderma got its name was that it could release a type of extremely terrifying ice flame. The ice flame spat out by a 1-million-year-old ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma. Even if void mystic powerhouses got hit, it was at the very least the outcome of severe injuries too. However, an expert like Ding Zhonghua would not behave like facing a great adversary either. This ice flame could actually also be grouped in the same category as essence fires, but it was not suited for refining pills because it did not have warmth and was a kind of cold flame. But the destructive power of this ice flame was exceedingly powerful. It could even burn ordinary people until nothing remained. When that ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma saw Yi Yuan approaching, it seemed to be like a startled little bunny shooting out ice flames at him crazily. In virtually an instant, Yi Yuan's entire person was enveloped inside the ice flame. Even his profile could not be seen anymore. Seeing this scene, Ding Zhonghua was alarmed in his heart and secretly cursed inwardly. But he Dajiang laughed wildly without ceasing and said, "I thought how great a capability this brat had. This time, bit off more than he can chew, right? I want to take a look at how he walks out from these ice flames. In the outside world, Yi Yuan's aura already completely could not be sensed, as if his entire person was devoured by the ice flames. Ao Qian could not help sneering coldly in his heart when he saw He Dajiang's delight. One move utterly settled Yi Yuan. That ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma also danced with joy excitedly, as if obtaining some great victory. But right then, that tuft of ice flames suddenly no longer pulsated. It was as if it was frozen. Crack, crack, crack. The next instant, those ice flames actually really froze over. After that, a series of cracks appeared. Bang! The ice flames thoroughly splintered apart, becoming pieces of ice SCR, APS, falling onto the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone's expressions changed drastically. Inside the ice flames actually had an additional person. A girl. This girl was incomparably cold. It was as if her entire person was transformed from 10,000-year-old profound ice. Chapter 1060, Displaying Invincible Might. Chapter 1060, Displaying Invincible Might. Well done, Lure. Yi Yuan said to the cold girl beside with a grin on his face. This cold girl was none other than precisely the Lure who was in closed seclusion for a long time. These few years, Lure had been in closed seclusion inside the vast heaven pag. Oh, to the whole time. With the help of Yi Yuan's medicinal pills, she advanced swiftly and vigorously, and already broke through to Tao profound realm not long ago. The Nine Divine, Link Meridian, was indeed a spirit physique hard to come across. Her cultivation speed was actually even a bit faster than Yi Yuan's. Especially after Yi Yuan converted Lure's frost poison into a vortex, her cultivation speed became even greater than before. Lure had a blissful look. Her cold face instantly melted, seemingly like a glacier melting, instantly stunning everyone. Lure has followed young master for so many years. Finally, I can be of help to young master, Lure said happily. Yi Yuan said with a smile, Your Nine Divine Link Meridian is a physique of extreme cold, the jinx of ice flames. Although your cultivation realm is not there yet, the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma can't do anything to you at all. Lure nodded and said, Young master, you just bother with catching it. Leave this ice flame to Lure. Yi Yuan nodded his head and stomped forward. When the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma saw the situation, it was seemingly like it had its tail stepped on, spraying out a massive cloud of ice flames in one go. Lure followed closely behind Yi Yuan, Emperor Qi spitting wildly, freezing those ice flames into ice in an instant. This scene stunned everybody, especially Ding Zhanghua and Shu Yunqing. The two of them were well aware of the ice flames' prowess, did not expect that Yi Yuan let out a young La S who was actually completely immune to the ice flames. Ding Zhanghua said absent-mindedly, truly didn't think that the jinx of the ice flames was actually the Nine Divine, Link Meridian. Looks like that G kid was long prepared. Yi Yuan wanted to refine the Tao-defying pill. Naturally, he studied these 9 great spirit medicines very in-depth. This ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma was long researched thoroughly by Yi Yuan already. D.A.M. and it. He Dajiang secretly gnashed his teeth. Little did he think that Yi Yuan actually dealt with the ice flames, this big problem, with the greatest of ease. But the more anxious he was, the more he could not take Ao Qian down. Instead, Ao Qian almost reversed the situation quite a number of times by taking advantage of when he was distracted. Wanna fight, got to focus a bit. It's out of the question for you to be like this, Ao Qian said with a scoff. Inside the profound Heaven 9 Battles formation, Yi Yuan had been wandering around erratically the entire time, and did not unleash attacks at the Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma immediately. Luer followed slowly behind and opened up the path for Yi Yuan. Suddenly, Yi Yuan's fingertip quivered. A streak of cold light flashed past, piercing straight for the Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma. Chi! A row of ice flames lit up, instantly striking that streak of cold light. A bit of flying ash landed from the sky, turning into dust. Yi Yuan was not discouraged. He continued walking and said to Luer, "Keep your eyes on my movements." Luer understood tacitly and said, "Don't worry, young master." Yi Yuan hastened his movement technique, and another streak of cold light flashed past. This time, Luer learned her lesson. A fine streak of Emperor Qi struck out, instantly turning that trace of ice flames into ice cubes. Qi! A light ring echoed out, as if there was something Ket into the Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma's body. The Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma trembled all over as if it was convulsing. Yi Yuan did not have the slightest hesitation. Flinging his hands, several streaks of cold light was fired out again, hitting the Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma. This time, the Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma's body stiffened up and collapsed onto the ground with a loud bang. The Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma, that even two Great Void mystic powerhouses could not take down, was finished off by Yi Yuan just like this. Those few streaks of cold light were silver needles prepared by Yi Yuan in advance. It was dipped in a medicinal liquid that Yi Yuan concocted to specifically target the Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma. As long as the medicine spirit was it would reveal its original form. After the Ice Flame Mystic Sovereign Ganoderma fell to the ground, it transformed into the appearance of a Ganoderma, very quickly being returned to its original form. Yi Yuan did not say a word and directly put it away. This first of the 9 great core medicines was obtained without much trouble at all. 2 great, super, holy lands restrained each other. In the end, it actually benefited Yi Yuan. He Dajiang never thought that Yi Yuan would take care of the medicine spirit in no time flat, and his expression could not help changing greatly. "Quickly withdraw." He Dajiang shouted. As he was speaking, He Dajiang suddenly urged his divine king domain to the limits, attempting to shake off Ao Qian's pestering. Ao Qian gave a cold laugh and said, "Want to run? How can it be that easy?" He Dajiang's move was earth-shaking, but Ao Qian was a character who had already become incredibly cunning with age. How could he let He Dajiang go so easily? He Dajiang's move was unleashed, but his expression changed drastically. When did you? He Dajiang discovered that Ao Qian's divine king domain actually already corroded his divine king domain imperceptibly, utterly sticking onto him. Ao Qian laughed loudly and said, "Brat, when your grandpa Ao was playing with divine king domains, your grandfather wasn't even born yet. Dragon prancing the 4 seas is hailed as the dragon clan's strongest domain. With the likes of you, you also dare to play with your grandpa Ao? Watch closely, Maelstrom Geroder." At this instant, countless miniature vortexes suddenly appeared in the 2 people's divine king domains. That terrifying corroding power actually ground He Dajiang's blade lights into smithereens. Puwerk! He Dajiang immediately sprayed out a mouthful of blood, the wound on his chest deep enough to see bones. When everyone saw this scene, they were all struck dumb with amazement. He Dajiang suppressed Ao Qian all round, not giving him even a hint of a chance to catch his breath. He did not think that in the end, Ao Qian actually directly finished him off, akin to the weak overcoming the strong. "Brother, are you all right?" Wu Yuanxiao cried out in alarm and immediately shook off Shu Yunqing, heading over to support He Dajiang. Wu Yuanqiao was not someone loyal to friends. But at this time, he also knew that the three of them were ants on a rope. He Dajiang waved his hand and said, "W won't die." His injuries looked terrifying but did not harm the foundation. He hurriedly fished out a medicinal pill and swallowed. The injuries on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. But his aura compared to just now was weakened by a great deal. Yi Yuan also looked at Ao Qian very astonishedly and said, "Nicely done, old Ao. Your Tlee of Dragon Clan's #1 powerhouse really isn't for show." Ao Qian laughed loudly and said, "Ha, isn't this still all thanks to your excellency bestowing pills? This battle today, old Ao, I finally vented this vexation in my chest." Ao Qian was really endlessly grateful towards Yi Yuan. Without Yi Yuan, he would not even be able to get out of the White Tiger dungeon, let alone talk about having a great battle with the current divine realm's apex powerhouses. The dragon race was a proud race. Ao Qian was even the best of them among this race. The grievance in his heart these few years could be imagined. This period of time, he watched Jiang Taitsong and Wu Luo, the two of them successively breaking through to the realm of Void Mystic. His heart was long itching unbearably already. And this battle, he did indeed fight to his heart's content, unleash, plussing his understanding towards divine king domains to the limits. Just as he said when he was playing with divine king domains. He Dajiang's grandfather wasn't even born yet. Him being able to overcome the strong as the weak today was absolutely not by accident, but a true manifestation of his strength. Yi Yuan said with a laugh, "Medicinal pills can increase your strength. Sup 1/sup. Being able to defeat He Dajiang from the standpoint of the weak, this is your capability. Looks like I've underestimated the Tlee of the dragon race's #1 powerhouse." What Yi Yuan said were heartfelt words. Regardless of whether it was Ao Duo or Ao Yong, Yi Yuan somewhat looked down on them both. But today, Ao Qian blew his mind. Chapter 1061, 99 Illusionary Spirit, Heaven Slaughter Formation. Chapter 1061, 99 Illusionary Spirit, Heaven Slaughter Formation. Shu Yunqing's gaze was filled with shock. His strength was originally evenly matched with He Dajiang, chances of victory being around 50-50. Since Ao Qian defeated He Dajiang, he naturally could defeat Shu Yunqing too. Shu Yunqing did not expect that this subordinate of Yi Yuan, his strength was actually daunting to such an extent. Shu Yunqing was silent for a long time, but still stepped forward and clasped his hands at Yi Yuan and said, "Young brother Ji, this time, this Shu, thank you very much." Yi Yuan said with a smile, "Palace Lord Shu don't need to be courteous." With the ice flame, mystic sovereign Ganoderma as the reward, we're considered even too. The corners of Shu Yunqing's mouth twitched slightly. He and Ding Zhanghua expended so much strength. He did not think that in the end it benefited Yi Yuan. But he also knew that without the three fierce generals under Yi Yuan joining in, he might have already fallen at this time. Now, Ao Qian directly quelled He Dajiang, and Ding Zhanghua was completely free. Both parties' strength had a reversal all of a sudden. This sort of situation, even after Yi Yuan joined the battle royale, he never thought before too. Shu Yunqing swallowed a medicinal pill and slightly recovered his wounds. Looking at the He Dajiang not far away, he said with a cold smile, "He Dajiang, even if you calculated everything, you probably never thought of such a result, right?" He Dajiang's expression became incomparably ugly and said with a cold snort, "This seat failed miserably in a simple task today. But if you guys want to keep this seat back just like this, it probably won't be that easy either, right?" Shu Yunqing said, "Regardless whether you remain behind or not, Heavenly Dawn Palace and 7 Absolute Cities grudge is sowed this time. two super holy lands turning hostile, a fierce struggle between a dragon and a tiger was indispensable. A single misstep, and one party might even be utterly destroyed. But at this time, Yi Yuan looked at He Dajiang and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Can't hold you back, is it? Old Ding, according to what I know, you still have a final ultimate array formation haven't used, right?" The moment these words came out, everyone's face changed. Ding Zhangguo's strongest array formation was not the profound Heaven Nine Battles formation, but the Falling Rain Skymark formation that he used back then when facing Lu Linfeng. This set of array formation was extremely profound. Back then, it really caused quite a bit of trouble for Lu Linfeng. At present, Lu Linfeng left people far behind in the dust and had long flung Ding Zhangguo behind until his silhouette could not be seen anymore. But using this move to deal with He Dajiang and the rest was sufficient. Ding Zhangguo shook his head and said, if he really wants to run, the Falling Rain Skymark formation can't prevent it either. He Dajiang burst into laughter when he heard that and said, "Gee, brat, do you take this old man to be a fool? Will I fight to the bitter end with you all here? All right, not accompanying anymore. This old man is leaving. If any one of you wants to keep this old man behind, you can very well give it a shot." Even though Ao Qian severely wounded He Dajiang, that was only through elaborate plotting. Doing it one more time, He Dajiang would definitely be cautious and not give Ao Qian any opportunities to take advantage of. Furthermore, if He Dajiang wanted to escape with all his heart, it was really very hard to stop it, wanting to kill a void mystic powerhouse. That was simply even harder than ascending to the heavens. Finished talking, He Dajiang's figure instantly transformed into a streak of flowing light, wanting to escape. Old Ao, no need Yi Yuan to instruct. Ao Qian already went over to impede. The two people clashed together in a great battle once more. Yi Yuan said, "Old Ding, the Falling Rain Skymark formation naturally can't make He Dajiang stay, but adding on my array formation, he'll be hard-pressed to escape even if he grew wings. What you need to do now is to delay him together with old Ao." Ding Zhangguo could not help looking at Yi Yuan in puzzlement, uncertain where his confidence came from. But he hated He Dajiang to the bones too, and was unwilling to let him leave at this point. He nodded his head right away. The Falling Rain Skymark formation silently formed and enveloped over toward He Dajiang trio. With the cooperation of Ding Zhangguo's array formation, the pressure on Ao Qian instantly eased up considerably. He Dajiang was akin to have fallen into a bog and really could not extricate himself for a while. As for over there, Shu Yinqing trio also delayed Wu Yuanxiao, and Yu Xinping firmly not giving them the slightest chance to get away. "Lu Er, help to defend me. I'll set up the formation." Yi Yuan said in a solemn voice. "Yes, young master." For so many years, this was the day that Lu Er was happiest. She never even dreamed that she would be able to step into Tao Profound realm one day, recalling vaguely. Back then in the Yi Manor, Lu Er did not even know what kind of concept Tao Profound realm was. Now, she could finally help young master. Lu Er already knew that this young master was no longer the original young master. But in her heart, she actually liked this young master a little more. This young master was gentle, caring, would become furious for her, even kill people. Back then, Yi Yuan battled Lin Tiancheng, and he challenged the entire Danwu Academy with his power alone. How could Lu Er not be moved? Back then, Yi Yuan entered deep into the endless forest and escaped danger by a hair's breadth. It was in order to find spirit medicines for her. How could Lu Er not lose her heart? Moreover, this young master currently was still old master and madam's son, right? Hence, he was still her young master. Lu Er looked at Yi Yuan's bustling profile, her fluid gaze roaming around. for her to be able to silently watch young master behind him. This was already sufficient. Yi Yuan naturally would not know Luer's little thoughts. He was giving it his all to set up the array formation. Array formations were things that could exert tremendous power with little force. Although Yi Yuan's cultivation realm was not high, he could completely rely on array formations to cross realms and kill the enemy. Of course, with his present strength, setting up this set of array formation was still overly forceful. Putting aside the great expenditure, more important was that the time needed was too long. During a genuine battle, it could not have an effect at all. Lu Linfeng's array formations, 3 volumes, was derived from the vast heaven steel. Yi Yuan was the master of the vast heaven stone steel, and also a Tier 9 formations emperor. Comprehending the array formations, 3 volumes was naturally not much trouble. After the array formations, 3 volumes, Lu Linfeng definitely had other fortuitous encounters before he could reach his present level. But the Azura confounding formation was indeed the divine stroke of the formation's path. Its power was incomparably daunting. Yi Yuan was sitting on the vast heavenstone steel. Naturally, he would not miss out on the chance to comprehend array formations either. These few years, he already deduced the Azura confounding formation many times through the vast heavenstone steel, and he turned it into another grand array already. A grand array that was sufficient to eradicate void mystic powerhouses. Of course, this was something after he acquired the Sun-Moon Heavenly Pupil. Yi Yuan fused the Sun-Moon Heavenly Pupil's illusionary art into this array formation, making this array formation's power skyrocket. 9-9 Illusionary Spirit, Heavenly Slaughter Formation. Form. Yi Yuan gave a light cry. A grand array suddenly lit up and enveloped everyone inside. The moment the array formation formed, Yi Yuan's entire person collapsed. But Ding Zhangguo's expression changed drastically as he said, stammeringly, This. Could this be Lu Linfeng's greater Azura confounding divine array? To talk about who understood Lu Linfeng best in this world, it had to be Ding Zhangguo. For so many years, he had been chasing after Lu Linfeng's footsteps the whole time. Although the two people were pulled further and further apart, Ding Zhangguo's research towards Lu Linfeng was the most thorough. This array formation gave him a very familiar feeling. Yi Yuan said with a smile, This array formation was self-created by me, considered to be based off his Azura confounding formation, I guess. However, it's different from his greater Azura confounding divine array. Inside the array formation, He Dajiang trio suddenly felt a blur before their eyes. All of the opponents completely vanished all of a sudden. Chapter 1062, Inyang Samsara. Chapter 1062, Inyang Samsara. He Dajiang turned pale with fright. He knew that he had fallen into an illusion. No idea how many years it had been since he had fallen into an illusion. Void mystic powerhouses comprehended powerful powers of law and could practically see through most illusionary realms. But now, he had indeed fallen into an illusion. This illusionary formation, could it be done up by G. Brat? When had his formation's path attainments actually become so terrifying? He Dajiang said in shock. Just based on this grand array before his eyes, Yi Yuan's formation's path level had probably already said Ding Zhangguo. How could this not shock him? After the astonishment, He Dajiang said with a cold laugh, However, wanting to trap this seat with a mere illusionary formation is also indulging in the wildest fantasy. As he said, He Dajiang's divine king domain instantly opened up. A Civ Black Essence Energy Long Saber instantly condensed and formed. Even if your formation's path is comprehended to the realm of Void Mystic, your cultivation realm is still below that after all. As long as this seat breaks the formation with strength, I don't believe that with just the likes of you, you can stop this seat. Destructive tyrant saber. As he said, Hidajiang controlled the long saber. Carrying an aura that pressed forward with an indomitable will, it chopped onto a point in S.P.A.C. Avoid Mystic Realm powerhouse, focused all of his attacks onto a point. The terror of this attack could be imagined. Rumble. Following this saber landing, intense tremors appeared on the grand array. When Hidajiang saw the situation, a hint of a cold sneer involuntarily flickered across the corners of his mouth. The result was indeed just as he expected. This grand array could not withstand his all-out attack at all. Although, in the entire divine realm, how many people were able to withstand an all-out attack from him? Just as he was being pleased with himself, an extremely terrifying killing intent suddenly arrived in a twinkle. Hidajiang practically could not react in time, and instantly unfurled his protective essence energy to the greatest. It was only to hear a rumble. Hidajiang's body was just like a kite with a broken string, flying out horizontally. Xu Yunqing and the others who were currently in the midst of fierce fighting were taken aback by this unexpected scene, and ceased fighting. They looked at this scene in disbelief. How could the powerful Hidajiang be severely injured until such a manner? Currently, Hidajiang was lying on the ground at a distance, his life and death unknown. But, looking from the aura, he was already impossibly weak. Ding Zhangguo looked at Yi Yuan like he had seen a ghost. He did not understand why an array formation laid down by a first-level Dao Profound could seriously injure Hidajiang to such an extent. What on earth did you do? Ding Zhangguo drew a cold breath and asked. This achievement was simply too startling. Even Xu Yunqing's face was also flickering erratically right now. Ever since this Ji Qingyun returned, the feeling that he gave people was seriously too bizarre. An existence like Hidajiang. Even if the 8 great super Holy Land's strongest powerhouses went into action, they did not dare say to be able to severely wound him so easily either. But Yi Yuan did it. Yi Yuan shrugged his shoulders and said, "Not what I did, but what he did himself." This guy fancied himself smart and thought that he could break the formation with strength. As a result, he used his strongest move and injured himself. Fancied himself smart, not using this sort of method to break the formation. Then use what method? Ding Zhangguo asked curiously. My 9-9 illusionary spirit heaven slaughter formation isn't perfected yet at the moment. The function of the killing array isn't very strong yet, but the power of the trapping formation and illusionary formation doesn't allow underestimation. With 9-9 as the name, it's that this array formation secretly encompa SES Heavenly Tao. 9 is the root as the end, as the limit, but as the beginning, serving as a link between the past and the future. Although his saber intent was strong, his array formation is yin and yang complementing mutually to begin with. Where it exits is where it returns. He used his own move to severely injure himself. Who can be to blame? Yi Yuan said with a faint smile. It was just that his smile and the perspective of other people gave rise to a chill in people's hearts. Martial artists breaking formations with strength, focusing all of their strength onto one point. This was general knowledge. Yet Yi Yuan acted in a diametrically opposite way and introduced the idea of yin-yang samsara into the array formation. It was very easy for martial artists to fall for it without understanding the inside story. Such a profound array formation was still just a semi-finished product. Once he was able to perfect it, then how terrifying would it be? Actually, Yi Yuan did not say some things. With Hidajiang's strength, as long as he did not muster up all of his strength and focus onto one point, but used the domain of blades to whittle away the array formation, this array formation could not last for a very long time too. After all, Yi Yuan's cultivation realm was placed there, and could not accomplish making the 9-9 illusionary spirit heaven slaughter formation weakness to exploit yet. But Yi Yuan calculated that He Dajiang would definitely have preconceived ideas firmly entrenched, that as long as he focused his strength onto one point, he would be able to break the array formation. Sure enough, He Dajiang was very cooperative. But Yi Yuan was filled with a vicissitude of emotions, too. The vast heaven steel was indeed terrifying. This 9-9 illusionary spirit heaven slaughter formation. As long as his cultivation realm reached, it would definitely be a major killing tool. At that time, the weak point of the array formation, not being stable enough, would also be non-existent. Yi Yuan looked at Wu Yuanxiao duo with a smile that was not a smile, and said, "Are the two of you doing it yourselves, or making everyone take action together?" Wu Yuanxiao and Yu Xinping had already long been astounded by Yi Yuan's means. Someone as powerful as He Dajiang was actually messed up to such a manner. "Qi Qingyun, I have no grudge and enmity with you. Why do you keep biting onto me and not let go? As long as you let me leave, our grudge is wiped off the slate. I, Wu Yuanxiao, can swear an oath to never find trouble with you again from hereafter." Wu Yuanxiao said with a solemn look. Yi Yuan smiled and said, "No grudge or enmity. Putting aside that Brother Kuang almost lost his life at your hands, ever since entering the immemorial medicine garden, you have been sneaking furtively behind us all along. If there was an opportunity, don't tell me that you won't make a move on me. It's just that you didn't have this chance." Wu Yuanxiao's expression was incomparably ugly, and he said in a solemn voice, "Then what the I do you want?" Yi Yuan said coolly, "Waste your dantian on yourself, and I can spare you from death." Wu Yuanxiao's face turned black, and he said, "You not willing? Then there's nothing to discuss. Ao Qian, do it." Yi Yuan gave the order without the slightest hesitation. Ao Qian's strength was lacking to deal with He Dajiang, but dealing with Wu Yuanxiao, it was more than enough. The two people clashed together. Ao Qian forced Wu Yuanxiao into a FLUS in a few rounds. When Yu Xinping saw this scene, his expression became all the more uglier. At present, both parties' strengths were not on equal footing at all. The disparity was too great. Swoosh! Yu Xinping could not resist it anymore, and turned around to flee. Shu Yanqing was watching him long ago. How could he give him the chance to escape? Shu Yanqing was, at any rate, an expert on the same level as He Dajiang. Although seriously injured at the moment, there was still plenty to spare to deal with Yu Xinping. Very soon, the two people's signs of defeat already showed. "Tight Song, go and kill He Dajiang. This guy isn't anything good. Leaving him is a calamity too." Yi Yuan instructed. Jiang Taitsong was just about to make a move when several figures arrived with a howl. One streak of unrivaled sword light after another charged towards Ao Qian and Shu Yanqing, respectively. This sword light was too fierce and swift. Even Ao Qian had no choice but to avoid the blade for the time being. Seeing the arrival, Yi Yuan's face sunk. The arrival was none other than precisely Sun Man. Sun Man appearing at this time was not a good omen. Besides, Sun Man was a black-clothed person. When Yi Yuan saw this black-clothed person, his brows involuntarily knitted together. Chapter 1063. You don't understand me. Chapter 1063. You don't understand me. The black-clothed person beside Sun Man gave Yi Yuan a very familiar feeling, but he could not recall it for a moment either. Where in the world he had seen this black-clothed person before? This black-clothed person concealed his entire body. His divine sense was also completely SHI+L'd, unable to see his true nature at all. But Yi Yuan just felt that he seemed to have seen him somewhere before. Seven Absolute City and Heavenly Dawn Palace have both sustained heavy losses. This result is for the best. Now, this seat is here to clean up the household. There shouldn't be anyone who has objections, right? Sun Man's gaze swept past everyone's faces and finally landed on Yi Yuan, when at the entrance of the immemorial medicine garden, the various major forces mutually restrained each other. It was inconvenient for Sun Man to take action too, but now he just so happened to run into the Seven Absolute City and Heavenly Dawn Palace, the two great forces peak void mystic powerhouses seriously injured. It was a good opportunity. The moment Yu Xinping saw, he could not help being overjoyed as he said, "No objections, no objections. Hallmaster Sun, feel free to take action. I've long been irked by this punk. I hope for Hallmaster Sun to succeed. This you be leaving first." Done talking, Yu Xinping's figure moved and immediately disappeared before everyone's eyes. Jiang Taitsong and Wu Luo were naturally unwilling to accept it, but Sun Man's aura locked onto them from far away, making them not dare to act rashly without careful consideration. Sun Man was in existence on the same level as He Dajiang and Shu Yunqing. His strength was unfathomable. More importantly, their side just experienced a great battle, while Sun Man was in a state of full health, virtually without any losses. When Wu Yuanxiao saw that Yu Xinping left and Sun Man did not stop it, he could not help being overjoyed. He immediately bid his farewell. Arriving beside He Dajiang with a flash, he picked him up and disappeared. Not that he wanted to save He Dajiang, but he already swore an oath, so he had no choice but to rescue him. Inside this immemorial medicine garden, Wu Yuanxiao was equivalent to a member of the Seven Absolute City. He currently wished that he could exit this immemorial medicine garden right away. He no longer wanted to get involved in these murky waters. After the three people left, Sun Man looked at Shu Yunqing and said, "Coolly, Palace Lord Shu not leaving, could it be that you want to become enemies with my Medicine King Hall? This is my Medicine King Hall's family matters. Hope that Palace Lord Shu don't interfere." Shu Yunqing's expression changed several times, and finally heaved a sigh and said to Yi Yuan, "Young Master Ji, not that this Shu isn't willing to help, but I'm seriously powerless to do anything." Finished talking, he signaled Ding Zhanghua with a look. The two people left by themselves. In a blink of an eye, a large group of people was only left with Yi Yuan's group of people. Sun Man's eyes narrowed slightly. Looking at Yi Yuan, he said, "Hand over the medicine G.O.D's soul cannon and the divine artifact. This seat can give you a quick and painless death." Yi Yuan looked at Sun Man and smiled. "Don't you think that talking with me using this sort of rubbish is somewhat a waste of time? Make your move." Sun Man's face fell, and he said, "Refusing a toast only to drink to a forfeit." Sun Man raised his hands, and several streaks of sword light sailed Yi Yuan. Ao Qian's expression turned cold. Opening up his domain, it instantly blasted away those few streaks of sword light. Ao Qian had just been through a great battle. Currently, his expenditure was not little either. Dealing with Sun Man appeared rather taxing. "My lord, leave this guy to old Ao to deal with." "You leave first," Ao Qian said coldly. Jiang Taitsong and Wu Luo were naturally unwilling to show weakness either. The two people stepped forward together with Ao Qian and formed a triangle battle formation. "Old Ao, your expenditure earlier was too great. We'll lend you a helping hand," Jiang Taitsong said. Ao Qian nodded his head and did not show bravado as well. If talking about before, for them to want to protect Yi Yuan, that might be compelled by the restrictions of the soul contract still. But now, the three of them were sincere in wanting to escort Yi Yuan to leave. It was Yi Yuan who gave the three of them new life. Yi Yuan already used his means to thoroughly win over these three people. Of course, it even included Ruan Shuangzhou. Sun Man gave a cold laugh and said, "The three of you coming up together. Who is protecting this brat then? Bingyun, take that brat down for me." Ji Bingyun's aura had long locked onto Yi Yuan from far away already. It was completely impossible to give him any chance to escape. At this time, Luor blocked in front of Yi Yuan and said, "Young master, you leave first. I'll deal with him." Ruan Shuangzhou also blocked in front of Yi Yuan with a look of resolution. Clearly, he had already made preparations to die. Yi Yuan extended his hand and knocked on Luor's head. Carrying a doting smile, he said, "Don't put on a brave front. You're not his match." Luor's tears flowed, and she said aggrievedly, "Young master, Luor is still so useless." Yi Yuan said smilingly, "Nonsense. If not for you, I'd really not know what to do about those ice flames. All right, quickly go inside the vast heaven pag." "Oh, duh. Young master is fine." Finished talking, he did not wait for Luor to agree either, and directly drew her into the vast heaven pag. "Oh, duh. Little junior brother, I urge that you better give up resisting. Although you have some tricks, this bit of capital is still insufficient to contend with the current Medicine King Hall." Ji Bingyun said coolly. Yi Yuan looked at him with a smile that was not a smile and said, "You have a manner like you've got me. Don't you know that I have a divine artifact in possession?" Deploying the sacred dragon token, with Yi Yuan's current strength, fighting to a draw with Ji Bingyun was still doable. Ji Bingyun's strength was almost on par with Jian Wushuang. It was not easy for Yi Yuan to want to kill him, but protecting himself was still achievable. Ji Bingyun was unmoved and said calmly, "Of course I know. You can endure under my hands. But what about the rest? The three of them are already arrows at the end of their flight. Even if they teamed up, it's impossible to be Hall Master Sun's match either." Yi Yuan said coolly, "Enough C-R-A-P. Make your move." Ji Bingyun's expression turned cold. Sword intent surged towards the sky. Tranquil sword dance. Ji Bingyun gave a cold cry. The long sword shook, and countless sword light immediately wandered around between heaven and earth and stabbed straight towards Yi Yuan. Yi Yuan gave a cold laugh, his figure abruptly vanished. Plussing from sight. The sword rain that covered the skies all hit nothing. Wanting to lock onto Yi Yuan without a divine king domain was simply even harder than ascending to the heavens. Ji Bingyun's expression changed. He had long known that Yi Yuan had this merging into heaven and earth trick, but after experiencing it for himself, he still felt that it was somewhat fantastical. This little junior brother, Ji Bingyun, was very familiar with him. He was just a fanatic who was devoted to the alchemy Tao with all his heart. How was he actually able to reach such a terrifying boundary in the heart realm after 20 years of not seeing? Little junior brother, is it possible that you plan to keep on hiding like this? Or you really plan on abandoning these subordinates of yours and leave by yourself? Ji Bingyun put away his sword and said coolly. Ji Bingyun had lived together with Ji Qingyun for several hundred years and naturally understood his character very well. Ji Qingyun was someone who valued loyalty and friends. H.I.+P.S. immensely. Even if his personality changed a lot in this life, it was impossible for this point to change too. Although Ao Qian and the rest were just his servants, from just a few words, one could also tell that there was absolutely no way for Yi Yuan to abandon them and leave by himself. He guessed correctly. It was naturally impossible for Yi Yuan to leave. He slowly revealed his figure and looked at Ji Bingyun with a smile as he said, "Bingyun, you understand me very well. But there's one thing that you gauged wrongly I likewise understand you very well, while you don't understand the current me enough at all. Yi Yuan slowly drew the Star Moon sword. A terrifying sword intent rippled out. When Ji Bingyun saw this scene, his expression could not help changing tremendously. Chapter 1064, Limitless Life-Death Sword. Chapter 1064, Limitless Life-Death Sword. Sun Man, Ao Qian, and the others who were currently in the heat of fierce fighting all revealed looks of astonishment. Little junior brother, you're only first-level Tao profound and actually comprehended divine king domain. Ji Bingyun opened his eyes wide and stared at Yi Yuan, his eyes filled with shock. Yi Yuan slowly opened both eyes and said with a faint smile, "Divine king domain, is it? This is considered a quasi-divine kind domain, I guess. But dealing with you, it should be sufficient." At this very moment, a bizarre force field formed around Yi Yuan. This force field was not different from divine king domains from the perspective of bystanders. Inside the domain, three supreme true intents mixed together in complete harmony, forming a terrifying power. Seeing this scene, it was not up to Ji Bingyun to not be shaken up. He originally thought that Yi Yuan's ace in the hole should be the myriad soul extinction, and he had long made preparations. Being fellow apprentices with Yi Yuan for so long, how much capability Yi Yuan had, Ji Bingyun felt that he understood him very well. But now, he finally understood the meaning of what Yi Yuan was talking about. Ever since Yi Yuan revealed his ident, one, Tai, he rarely exhibited his martial path cultivation in the outside world. Even the last time when facing Ji Kanglin, Yi Yuan never exhibited it before as well. In the people's impression, Yi Yuan was still that alchemist who could only rely on divine soul mystic arts. This time, he could even create 3 void mystic realm powerhouses. But Body would have expected that Yi Yuan's martial path cultivation was actually so high. Ji Qingyun's concepts comprehension, Ji Bingyun, was perfectly clear. Just 20 years' time had said, and Yi Yuan's concepts comprehension actually utterly shook him off behind already. This sort of comprehension speed was truly a bit too freakish, right? Furthermore, when had it been heard of that someone comprehended a divine king domain at the first level Tao profound? Take this. Yi Yuan's indifferent voice sounded out. A terrifying power of domain rushed over towards Ji Bingyun. The so-called power of domain was that within a certain boundary, I alone reigned supreme. Within the domain boundary, the martial artist was the true king. Only experts who similarly possessed powers of domain could have the qualifications to have a showdown with them. However, Yi Yuan's cultivation realm was not sufficient to support the powers of domain at all. His domain looked powerful, but in reality, it was not as impressive as a genuine domain. Even so, for ordinary Tao profound experts to want to beat Yi Yuan, it was not quite enough. 3 great, supreme, true intents fusing, Yi Yuan's offensive power was virtually unparalleled. Rain falling on scattered dust. Ji Bingyun's sword intent could not be said to not be strong. But upon contact with Yi Yuan's quasi-divine king domain, it was immediately ground into smithereens. When Yi Yuan saw this scene, he smiled and said, "Ji Bingyun, it's been 20 years. It seems like your improvement is far from as great as Ji Kanglin's. Do you feel that there's hope in dealing with me, using these moves?" Ji Bingyun could not help feeling exasperated. He did not think that 20 years' time, Yi Yuan was actually terrifying to this sort of degree. Forget it. Since you can't come up with anything new, then receive this move of mine. Limitless Life-Death Sword. Yi Yuan's sword stabbed out. Ji Bingyun's expression abruptly changed. The slaughter concept presided over death. Scorching concept presided over life, while the concept of sword was that wheel that controlled life and death. Yi Yuan used the Azure Dipper Floating Zero Sword as the axle and perfectly fused the slaughter concept and concept of fire. The power of this sword was incomparably outrageous from start to finish. Even if Yi Yuan only had first-level Dao profound strength, when Ji Bingyan saw this scene, he had a feeling of not being able to use force to overcome it as well. Two kinds of extremely contradicting concepts intertwining together, yet the two were harmonious. This made Ji Bingyan had a feeling of his mind splitting up. Swaz H plus Swaz H plus the sword being unleashed arrived in front of Ji Bingyan in a blink of an eye. Ji Bingyan was greatly astonished and completely unleashed out all the abilities in his lifetime. Rumble! Two rays of sword light intersecting, only to see Ji Bingyan's body fly out in reverse like a cannonball. Yi Yuan had a tough time too, similarly being slammed flying out in reverse. But this sword, it was clearly Yi Yuan who won. Yi Yuan was just rebounded by the recoil strength, while Ji Bingyan could not block the terrifying sword intent of Yi Yuan's at all. Yi Yuan being able to perfectly fuse three kinds of supreme true intents. This was entirely thanks to the vast heaven steel. Ever since Yi Yuan opened up the vast heaven steel with Emperor Qi, he discovered that this place was completely a treasure trove. Inside the vast heaven steel's S.P. A.C., his speed of comprehending concepts was simply heaven-defying. In this period of time, Yi Yuan achieved comprehending the Azure Dipper Floating Zero Sword concept to the 8th stage without extra effort, then comprehended the Slaughter Supreme True intent to the 7th stage. Even the worst scorching Supreme True intent, Yi Yuan comprehended it to the 3rd stage too, and inside the vast heaven steel's S.P. A.C., Yi Yuan successfully merged together three kinds of supreme true intents and had an initial grasp of divine king domain. This sort of improvement could simply use exaggerated to describe. Yi Yuan finally knew why Feng Tian was able to grow into such a terrifying powerhouse. With the vast heaven steel, whatever void mystic realm was completely a cinch. Activating the vast heaven steel, Yi Yuan seemed to have opened up another huge door. Behind this huge door could amplify his comprehension ability to the limits. However, Yi Yuan's essence energy realm was still a little too low in the end. Even if he could defeat Ji Bingyan, he was still unable to deal him a lethal blow. Ha ha ha! Milord is Milord. Really too mighty. First level Dao profound and able to comprehend a divine king domain. Milord is likely the entire divine realm's first person. Jiang Taitsong said with a big laugh, Milord is mighty. Rather, it was us who looked down on his excellency. Wu Luo was also abnormally excited. Ao Qian could not contain his joy even more and said, Milord, you're simply two freakies. H. Plus Elder Tung truly has discerning eyes like burning torches to actually be able to find a successor like you. The three people were originally suppressed by Sun Man firmly, but seeing Yi Yuan actually had a display of invincible might, each and every one of them was like injected with stimulants, their spirits rising by a great deal all at once. For some time, they actually fought with Sun Man until they were evenly matched in skill and strength. The three people were all people whose combat experiences were extremely rich. Ao Qian restrained Sun Man, while Jiang Taitsong and Wulua were responsible for Hara's meant by the side. It was also that Ao Qian's divine king domain was powerful. Ao Qian practically unleashed the divine king domain to its limits. The domain of water was equipped with a tremendous inclusive attribute and could change into myriad forms. It was truly extremely rich in combat strength. Swapping anyone else to come and deal with Sun Man, they would have long been taken down by him. Yi Yuan raised his sword and stepped forward, preparing to charge towards Ji Bingyan once more when that black-clothed person finally moved. did not see that he had any movements either. In a blink of an eye, he arrived before Yi Yuan. Rumble! A punch without the slightest hint of flass. H.I. Plusness directly slammed onto Yi Yuan's quasi-divine king domain. Poork! Yi Yuan vomited a mouthful of fresh blood crazily and immediately fled out backward. Toward this black-clothed person, Yi Yuan had actually paid very close attention all along. But he also did not think that this black-clothed person's strength was actually so powerful. Yi Yuan's fleshy body was extremely powerful. Hence, he could perceive that this punch earlier was completely the fleshy body's explosive power and not some essence energy martial technique at all. Moreover, his speed was exceedingly swift. It was not a movement martial technique, but entirely the power of an explosive nature, making his movements unbelievably fast. Yi Yuan crawled to his feet. Reaching his hand out to wipe away the fresh blood at the corners of his mouth, he looked at the black-clothed person and said, "Coolly, have we met anywhere before?" Chapter 1065, Divine Rank Spirit Medicine Coming into Being. Chapter 1065, Divine Rank Spirit Medicine Coming into Being. JG, what's a person like you who's about to die asking so much for? Done talking, the black-clothed person was clearly still standing on the spot when the sound of wind howling arrived with a whistle. Rumble! The ground behind Yi Yuan directly had a large crater smashed out. But as for Yi Yuan, he merged into heaven and earth, his figure vanished. H.I. Plussing from sight. Merging into heaven and earth. Paltry tricks. The black-clothed person gave a cold laugh, his figure disappearing once more. The next instant, a terrifying undulation came from the void. Rumble! Yi Yuan was actually blasted right out of the void by that black-clothed person. Milord! When Ao Qian Trio saw this scene, each and every one of their faces could not help changing drastically. Sun Man gave a cold laugh and said, "You guys had best bother about yourselves first." Seizing this opportunity, Sun Man suppressed the three people firmly all at once. Under his divine king domain, Ao Qian Trio's divine king domains were suppressed until it was only left with a very small piece of area. For some time, the three people were surrounded by perils, especially Jiang Taitsong and Wu Luo. Their divine king domains were virtually suppressed to the limits already. Their bodies also sustained considerable injuries. Compared to a powerhouse like Sun Man, the two of them were still too weak. Yi Yuan had yet to stand up when the black-clothed person arrived before his eyes again instantly. Yi Yuan was startled inwardly and displayed merging into heaven and earth once more. The black-clothed person laughed coldly and smashed Yi Yuan out of the void a second time. Your understanding of the heavenly Tao is too shallow. This degree of merging into heaven and earth doesn't have the least bit of threat to me at all, said the black-clothed person nonchalantly. With these few blows, Yi Yuan's body was almost falling apart. If not for his fleshy body was powerful, he would likely have already been killed at this time. The black-clothed person's strength was unexpectedly powerful. Furthermore, this black-clothed person completely did not utilize a trace of other powers at all up until now. Just relying on the power of the fleshy body, he beat Yi Yuan until he did not have the slightest bit of strength to counterattack. But Yi Yuan did not doubt in the slightest that his understanding of the heavenly Tao was absolutely above his own. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to resolve his merging into heaven and earth move. Up till this present moment, this was Yi Yuan's first time encountering someone who could resolve this move of his. This black-clothed person was too strong. The black-clothed person walked slowly and arrived in front of Yi Yuan. He said coldly, "JG brat, prepare to die." The black-clothed person suddenly brandished his fist and smashed towards Yi Yuan. This punch had an overwhelming momentum and incredible power. It was as if it could shatter S.P.A.C. But right then, a terrifying power came out of Yi Yuan's body. Rumble! The black-clothed person's body flew out backward. However, he was fine. Yi, this is Sacred Dragon token? Couldn't tell that this brat's fortunes aren't shallow. However, it benefits this seat. Forcefully receiving the Sacred Dragon token's attack, the black-clothed person actually did not seem to have been affected at all, and still talked in a jovial manner. Yi Yuan's face sunk. The feeling that this guy gave him was just like a great mountain, unable to budge at all. However, the more they exchanged blows, the more certain Yi Yuan was that he had definitely met this guy before somewhere. It was just that the things that the black-clothed person revealed were seriously too little, unable to judge at all. The black-clothed person still wanted to take action. Right then, the depths of the immemorial medicine garden released a blinding light. A terrifying pressure instantly spread throughout the entire immemorial medicine garden. Roar, roar, roar. Those desolate beasts' roaring sounds echoed out everywhere, as if they were frightened, clamoring to scatter in flight. Yi Yuan was just planning on having a great battle with the black-clothed person. He did not think that this black-clothed person actually pulled back himself. Ha! Boy, consider yourself lucky. I'll get down to proper business first. Later, I'll come and claim your little life again. Son man, we're going. Done talking, the black-clothed person's figure instantly vanished before Yi Yuan's eyes and sped toward the immemorial medicine garden's depths. Sun Man also repelled the three people with one move and, together with Ji Bingyun, followed the black-clothed person and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Seeing Sun Man and the others withdrawing, Ao Qian Trio also heaved a long sigh in relief. Inclusive of Ao Qian, they were all forcefully hanging in there with a strand of willpower. At this time, the moment the pressure on their bodies eased up, each and every one of them all gasped heavily for air. "My lord, are you all right?" Ao Qian asked. Yi Yuan waved his hand and said, "I'm fine. You all seize the time to recover essence energy. This immemorial medicine garden doesn't seem to look too good." "My lord, has a divine rank spirit medicine come into being? Such powerful essence energy undulations, tier 9 spirit medicines can't reach it at all." Jiang Taitsong asked. Yi Yuan sneered coldly and said, "Maybe, but I feel that it's likely not some auspicious object instead." When Jiang Taitsong and the rest heard that, their hearts involuntarily turned cold and they started recovering essence energy. This terrifying undulation spread throughout the entire immemorial medicine garden in an instant. Desolate beasts and medicine spirits all seemed to have received a tremendous stimulation, all becoming restless and uneasy. Originally, these desolate beasts and medicine spirits all had their own territories, but currently they seem to be having a great migration, leaving their territories. Ha ha ha! The divine rank spirit medicine finally came into being. Obtaining a divine rank spirit medicine, I'll be able to soar to the heavens in one bound and become the divine realm's supreme powerhouse. Wealth is sought in the midst of danger. This is a divine rank spirit medicine. Perhaps I'll be the first person to break through to Deity realm in these 100,000 years. Divine rank spirit medicine. It must be a divine rank spirit medicine. This undulation, apart from divine rank spirit medicine, there's absolutely no other possibility. The divine rank spirit medicine is mine. The martial artists that entered the immemorial medicine garden all seemed to be in a crazed state. The allure of a divine rank spirit medicine was seriously too great. In these 100,000 years, Deity realm had always been an exceedingly sensitive topic. As long as there were items related to deity realm coming into being, there would definitely be a sanguinary slaughter. This time was no exception as well. How could those martial artists still care about whatever danger, surging over towards the immemorial medicine garden's depths altogether? In an area within the million-year region, Jian Wushuang had a cold smile on his face as he said, "Uncle 13, I said that Ji Qingyan was deliberately scamming us, right? Such a terrifying essence, energy undulation. What is it if not a divine rank spirit medicine? Still saying not letting us get involved in the messy situation? Haha, he was probably hoping for one less compet. One, Tor, right?" But Sword 13's face was slightly hesitant as he said, "You look at those desolate beasts. Each of every one of them seems to be fleeing for their lives. Even those medicine spirits are also all avoiding like the plague." The moment Jian Wushuang heard, he immediately stomped his foot and said, "Sigh, Uncle 13, how can divine rank spirit medicines be obtained so easily? Those desolate beasts and medicine spirits, they are dreading the divine rank spirit medicine. That's why they are escaping. But to us martial artists, this might be the only chance to achieve deityhood." Sword 13's entire body trembled. Jian Wushuang's last sentence ultimately still moved him. The temptation of achieving deity realm, no one could resist it. "Go." Sword 13's face fell as he said this. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed and hurriedly kept up. In a concealed corner of the 500,000-year region, a middle-aged man slowly opened his eyes, his gaze exuding rays of brilliant light. Finally came into being. This divine rank spirit medicine. I Chao Tian, you must obtain it. Similar scenes were currently happening in the immemorial medicine garden. Each and every one of the powerhouses did not take action to contend for those rare spirit medicines. Their target was only this divine rank spirit medicine. Chapter 1066, Tao Spirit Fruit. Chapter 1066, Tao Spirit Fruit. Due to those desolate beasts and medicine spirits fleeing everywhere, the entire route was actually smooth without any obstruction. These martial artists virtually did not encounter much obstacles and arrived at the immemorial medicine garden's depths. This place already said the million-year region and belonged to the deepest area of the immemorial medicine garden. If not for the abnormal activities this time, it was practically impossible for martial artists to reach here. Yi Yuan and his group recovered their strength and also followed the main force and entered the region that they had never stepped foot in before. You guys look, that's a 500-thousand-year-old wisteria cord. That's a 300-thousand-year-old gold antelope wisp. The martial artists all cried out in shock. This stretch of region was filled with extremely old spirit medicines everywhere. These spirit medicines needed to expend tremendous effort in the outer regions before one could run into them, and even lose their lives because of it. But here, they could be seen everywhere. But at this time, they could not be bothered to harvest these spirit medicines at all. Everyone rushed over towards the place where the essence energy undulations were the most intense. They did not wish to fall behind others. Following the people entering deep, the essence energy undulations became increasingly stronger. Some martial artists stuck on the gateway of a realm actually directly broke through cultivation, realms under the impact of this surge of essence energy. Such thick essence energy strengthened everyone's belief even more. What came into being this time was definitely a divine rank spirit medicine. Yi Yuan, who was currently walking, furrowed his brows and came to a halt. "What is it, my lord?" Wu Luo asked. "You all help to guard me. My cultivation already can't be suppressed anymore under this surge of essence energy impact." Yi Yuan said. The moment Ao Qian and the rest heard, they could not help being overjoyed. Immediately, everyone found a remote place, and Yi Yuan started breaking through. Yi Yuan had already remained at first-level Tao Profound for a considerable amount of time. Following his concept's comprehension advancing by leaps and bounds, his essence energy had long reached peak, first-level Tao Profound. Already being rushed by this surge of violent essence energy, his cultivation realm could not be controlled anymore and was going to break through to second-level Tao Profound. After 2 hours, the Emperor Qi above Yi Yuan's essence energy surged and become over 10 times thicker than before. TSK, His Excellency's second-level Tao Profound. Putting aside concept's comprehension, it's not at all inferior to ordinary martial artists' peak initial stage Tao Profound too. Jiang Taitsong said with an emotional sigh. Ao Qian and the rest nodded their heads, deeply feeling the same way too. The Emperor Qi, when Yi Yuan broke through, was incomparably violent. Ordinary third-level Tao Profounds were indeed not as solid as Yi Yuan. Tao Profound realm, one world. The disparity between each minor realm was immensely huge. Even if ordinary martial artists cultivated for several hundred years, they might not be able to break through a minor realm too. But Yi Yuan shook his head and said, the cultivation method that Spirit Bristle, that fellow gave me, probably only had the upper half. If my conjectures are right, the lower half cultivation method might be written with divine inscriptions. That's where the quintessence lies. The Spirit Bristle 9 Yang divine art. The more Yi Yuan cultivated, the more he felt that it was extensive and profound. At present, he had already reached Tao Profound realm, but Yi Yuan had a feeling of it being still incomplete. Legend said that the Spirit Bristle Divine King only obtained the Spirit Bristle 9 Yang divine art's upper half back then. This rumor was probably not true. Ever since after he comprehended the medicine G.O.D. soul canon, he had an even deeper understanding of divine Tao laws. He dared to confirm that if the Spirit Bristle Divine King only obtained the upper half, there was absolutely no way of achieving that kind of horrifying accomplishments. Ao Qian Trio did not know what kind of existence the Spirit Bristle Divine King was, but Wan Shuangzhou was perfectly clear. Hearing Yi Yuan's words, Wan Shuangzhou opened his eyes wide and said, what my lord is cultivating is actually the Spirit Bristle 9 Yang divine art. Yi Yuan said with a smile, back then, I helped that guy refine a mystic-grade medicinal pill. He used this cultivation method as remuneration and gifted it to me. Wan Shuangzhou's eye, A-L-L-S nearly popped out. Using the Spirit Bristle 9 Yang divine art as the reward, how heaven-defying that medicinal pill was, just using one's behind to think. And one would also know, Shuangzhou, is that whatever Spirit Bristle Divine King, very incredible. Jiang Taitsong said, very unconvinced. When he became famous, the Spirit Bristle Divine King's reputation was still unknown. Therefore, he completely had not heard of the Spirit Bristle Divine King's great reputation before. More than incredible. This cultivation method that my lord cultivates is known as the Divine Realm's number 2 cultivation method. It's the primary cultivation method of the Spirit Bristle Divine King, ranked 2 among the 10 great divine kings. Would you say it's impressive or not? Wan Shuangzhou exclaimed with admiration. 10 great divine kings? Is it very impressive? Ao Qian said very disdainfully, but Yi Yuan nodded his head at this time and said, those like Sun Man are completely inadequate to look at in front of the 10 great divine kings. If I really have to make a comparison, I think senior long-time strength should be on the same level as them. As so powerful. With this, Ao Qian was convinced. Ao Qian refused to yield to anyone in this life, and was only convinced by Long Tongue. He knew that even if he was known as the Dragon Clan's #1 powerhouse, the disparity was immense with long tongue strength too. Yi Yuan nodded his head and said, not senior long tongue strength when at the Dragon Clan, but his strength after he met senior Feng Tian. Ugh, looks like I have got to think of a way to get the lower half of the cultivation method. In his previous life, Yi Yuan did not care about cultivation methods. Even if he received the Spirit Bristle 9 Yang Divine Art, he never thought of cultivating it before either. But this time, Yi Yuan yearned for cultivation methods considerably, especially after witnessing the might of the Medicine Ji, D's Soul Cannon. Yi Yuan thirsted for the lower half of the Spirit Bristle 9 Yang Divine Art even more. You guys, look, that is a Tao spirit tree. It's really a Tao spirit tree. I didn't think that inside this immemorial medicine garden, there's actually a Tao spirit tree of the legends. The Tao spirit tree is a divine tree. Legend has it that the Tao spirit tree blooms once every 500,000 years, bears fruit once every 500,000 years, and only matures after another 500,000 years. The Tao spirit fruit after maturing. It's said that as long as one consumes it, they will be able to affirm their Tao and achieve deityhood. There seems to be a fruit on the tree. Could it be the Tao spirit fruit of the legends? The moment these words came out, the atmosphere immediately became not quite right. A Tao spirit fruit able to immediately corroborate one's Tao and become a deity. This temptation, in an era where one was incapable of becoming a deity, no one could resist it at all. Everyone held their breaths, eyes looking towards the Tao spirit fruit without even blinking. Swuz. H. Plus swuz. H. Plus swuz. H. Plus several figures finally could not hold back and took off. Russ. H. I. Plussing over towards the Tao spirit tree. These few people's strengths were immensely powerful. The weakest was a divine king realm expert. How could the others be willing to fall behind? Seeing these few people rush towards the Tao spirit fruit, each and every one of them sped over like the wind. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several streaks of powerful flames flashed past. Those few divine king experts who were the first to sweep towards the Tao spirit fruit were instantly burned into flying ashes. There's a grand array protecting. This Tao spirit tree has a grand array protecting. Everyone, don't go forward. Someone yelled loudly, but it was already too late. There were several people following close on the heels and could not pull back in time at all, and were similarly burned into nothing by the grand array. This grand array was too terrifying. Divine king powerhouses actually could not even stir up a single wave inside. At this time, an old man divided the crowd, walked to the front ranks, and said, "This is the ancient divine, rank grand array, heaven-burning annihilation chaos grand array. Everyone don't act rashly. This array formation, even deity realm powerhouses might not be able to break through." Chapter 1067. Sun Man's Proposal. Chapter 1067. Sun Man's Proposal. The old man's words made everyone fall into despair. An array formation that even deity realm powerhouses could not break. How could these people, possibly crack it? The Tao spirit fruit that could help them break through to the deity realm was placed before their eyes, and they actually could not reach it. Nothing was more tormenting than this. "Master Ding, you're a formation's pathmaster. Can you lead us to break through the grand array?" Somebody asked. This old man was none other than precisely the Heavenly Dawn Palace's formation's pathmaster, Ding Zhangguo. After the Heavenly Dawn Palace's people left Yi Yuan and his group, they went all the way deep in. When the essence energy here surged, they also rushed over right away. When Ding Zhangguo saw this grand array, he had a look of despair at that time as well. Ding Zhangguo shook his head when he heard that and said, if divine rank array formations were so easy to crack, what did this old man come to find what Tao's spirit fruit for? Hearing his words, everyone had even more hopeless looks. They all looked at the Tao spirit fruit overflowing with essence energy, their hearts like being scratched by cats, abnormally itchy and hard to bear. Could it be that we can only watch blankly like this? That is a Tao spirit fruit. Someone said with unwillingness in their heart. This kind of situation, no one would be willing either. Deity realm, this was countless martial artists' lifelong pursuit for 100,000 years. Within easy reach, but while right under their noses, was far away at the horizon, in the crowd. Ao Qian asked Yi Yuan softly, "My lord, is that really a Tao spirit fruit?" Yi Yuan nodded his head slightly and said, "Indeed, exactly the same as a Tao spirit fruit. It's just that. I keep feeling that something is not quite right. If this place has a Tao spirit tree, it's impossible that Father didn't bring me over to have a look back then. Moreover, the Medicine King Hall was shut for 20 years, and Sun Man had never appeared before. His sudden appearance, this time, also makes me feel rather odd. Also, that black-clothed person is definitely not an ordinary person. I keep feeling that I've seen him before somewhere." The Tao spirit tree was a heaven and earth spiritual plant. It was born as a divine rank spiritual object and was incomparably rare. If the Tao spirit plant was sealed inside the heaven-burning annihilation chaos grand array, there would not be any danger at all. With Ji Xinyang's strength, he could totally bring him over and experience it. But Ji Xinyang did not. "My lord, could it be that you're thinking too much? A divine rank spirit medicine coming into being. The Medicine King Hall is likely unable to stay calm either, right? Moreover, the Tao spirit fruit's undulations, that Serpa, SES Tier 9, it shouldn't be fake, right?" Jiang Taitsong said, "Yeah, my lord, this essence energy undulation absolutely Serpa, SES Tier 9. It's also no different from the legendary Tao spirit fruit's aura. Shouldn't have any problem, right?" Ao Qian also said. Yi Yuan let out a sigh and said, "I hope so." Yi Yuan's heart realm breaking through to heaven-man unity, he more or less had some inferences toward many things in the unseen world. He kept feeling that his concern was not groundless. Just as Yi Yuan was wavering hesitantly, Sun Man suddenly rose up into the air and said in a clear voice, "Everyone, since you've already arrived here, how can there be the logic of entering a treasure mountain and returning empty-handed? This sun has a proposal. I wonder if everyone is willing or not." Sun Man's words immediately aroused everyone's attention. Hearing the meaning in these words, Sun Man had a way of dealing with this divine, rank grand array. At present, everyone was currently in the midst of despair. Suddenly hearing that there was a way, how could they be unwilling? What method does Hall Master Sun have? Just feel free to say it. Yeah, Hall Master Sunday. The chance to achieve deity realm is right before our eyes. We can't just give up like this, right? These martial artists could not wait to listen to Sun Man's method. Even Ding Zhangguo did not have any means. At this time, there was only making a Hail Mary effort. Sun Man sneered coldly in his heart. Just the likes of you fools also wish to achieve deity realm, but he naturally could not bring it out on the surface. He just slowly said, "Master Ding is a formation's path great master second only to the Grand Yin Divine King in the Divine Realm. Although this grand array is an ancient divine rank grand array, I feel that he should be able to see through where this array formation's vulnerable area lies. Since we can't pass through this array formation, why not everybody joins forces and break this grand array together? We have so many people here. Even a divine rank grand array probably can't withstand so many of our attacks too." Following Sun Man saying finish, The crowd burst into an uproar all of a sudden. They felt that Sun Man's proposal was truly brilliant and immediately echoed voices of assent. Yeah, we probably have 100,000 martial artists here. If we're of one heart and join forces, the power is extremely terrifying. Perhaps we really can break this grand array. Hall Master Sun's suggestion is really too reliable. 100,000 martial artists, among which even have quite a few Void Mystic Realm powerhouses. I don't believe that it can't break the grand array. Hall Master Sun, how about this? You take command. We'll all listen to you. Sun Man made a hand gesture, making everyone shush, and said in a clear voice, I wonder what are the opinions of the fellow Void Mystic Realms. Ding Zhanghua and Shu Yunqing exchanged a glance, and both nodded their heads. Ding Zhanghua said in a clear voice, This elderly self has no objections. I have no objections. Sword 13 also voiced out, I have no objections either. He Dajiang also spoke up at an appropriate time. His injuries finally recovered a little through a period of recuperating, but his current state was even worse than Shu Yunqing's. No objections. Chao Tianyu, who appeared before everyone's eyes for the first time, also spoke up. Right on the heels of that, one voice after another sounded out. They did not have any objections towards Sun Man's proposal. Counting it, the Void Mystic Realm experts were actually as many as 13 people. Close to half of the people among them did not reveal themselves in front of people after entering the immemorial medicine garden. At present, it seemed like apart from Sun Man's suggestion, there was no other path that could be taken. These Void Mystic powerhouses asked for nothing else. Their only pursuit was the Tao Spirit Fruit. Letting them leave at this point, that was impossible. When the other martial artists heard all of these Void Mystic Realm powerhouses agree, they immediately felt the pressure on their bodies surmount. Without a doubt, these Void Mystic Realm powerhouses were the strongest compet. 1. Tours for the Tao Spirit Fruit. But the temptation of the Tao Spirit Fruit was seriously too great. They were unable to refuse at all. Furthermore, who knew that they could or could not obtain the Tao Spirit Fruit before the Spirit Bristle Divine King acquired the Spirit Bristle 9 Young Divine Art? Who knew him? Among the martial artists present, there were quite a few Divine King realm experts. There were even many peak Divine King powerhouses. These people were also just a step away from the Void Mystic Realm. How could they be willing to give up on the Tao Spirit Fruit? Quite a few of them already made the decision in their hearts. Once they caught the Tao Spirit Fruit, they would swallow it at all costs, as long as they could escape and find a place to enter close seclusion. When they came out again, they would be able to sweep across the divine realm. This sort of temptation, and, body could resist it. Sun Man nodded his head, very satisfied with these people's replies. But finally, he turned his gaze to Yi Yuan and said coolly, Qingyun, the others have all agreed. What about you? This sentence drew everyone's gaze toward Yi Yuan. Only then did they recall that Yi Yuan brought along 2 Void Mystic Realm powerhouses. As for Ao Qian, they were still unaware that he had already broken through to Void Mystic. Under everyone's gazes, Yi Yuan mused for a moment, but said coolly, We withdraw. Chapter 1068. We were wrong. Chapter 1068. We were wrong the moment Yi Yuan's words came out. Everyone burst into an uproar, especially those Void Mystic powerhouses. Each and every one of them used inconceivable gazes and looked towards Yi Yuan. Sun Man's expression darkened, and he asked, Do you know what you're saying? Yi Yuan said nonchalantly, Bullsh asterisk T. Would I not know what I said? Fine. Since you withdraw, this Tao Spirit Fruit doesn't have your share. If at that time you dare to S-N-A-T-C-H the Tao Spirit Fruit, then it is becoming public enemies with everybody. Sun Man said in a solemn voice. Yi Yuan shrugged indifferently and said, "You guys play yourselves then. Although I very much want to urge everyone to not join in this matter, you definitely wouldn't listen. As for the consequences, shoulder it yourselves." Yi Yuan's words made Sun Man's heart sink. As for the rest, they all used a peculiar expression and looked towards Yi Yuan. Because Yi Yuan's words were very odd, this was the one and only chance to break through to Deity realm. What kind of consequences could there be? Any more severe consequences? They would also be willing to bear it. You want to mislead the Ma. SES with fallacies? The chance for Deity realm is within reach. Who's willing to give up this opportunity? Sun Man said with a cold smile. His words reached the bottom of everyone's hearts. Not that Yi Yuan did not wish to stop these people, but because he knew that even if he dissuaded them, it was useless too. There were so many void mystic realm powerhouses here. Dissuading with martial strength was even more futile. The chance for Deity realm. You probably want to utilize everyone's strength to open this grand array, right? I'm very curious, though, just what the L is inside here, Yi Yuan said with a cold smile. The more Yi Yuan said, the more alarmed Sun Man got. Could it be that this brat knew something? Sun Man's expression darkened, and he said in a clear voice, "Everybody heard that. Ji Qingyan gives up the right to fight for the Tao spirit fruit. Later, if he dares to make a move to SNATCH, the Tao spirit fruit, it's becoming public enemies with everyone." Everyone did not speak up because Qingyan Zi's prestige was too high, but from their expressions, one could also tell that they absolutely did not allow Yi Yuan to encroach on the Tao spirit fruit. After all, he was not willing to put forth strength. Sun Man said again, "Let's say the nasty things first. If the array formation opens, everybody gets the Tao spirit fruit based on your own capabilities. As for who it ends up with, it will depend on each one's good luck." This was also an inherent right to the problem. Everyone was already aware of it. Regarding Yi Yuan's decision, Ao Qian Trio naturally did not dare have any dissent. But looking at the Tao spirit fruit, the four of them were still incomparably hankered after it. "My lord, do we really not want that Tao spirit fruit?" Jiang Taitsong could not resist asking. Yi Yuan looked at him and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Are you guys very moved? All feel that I'm making a big fuss over nothing. Is that so?" Jiang Taitsong's expression was ugly, and he said with an obsequious smile, "My lord, old Jiang doesn't mean that." Yi Yuan said with a smile, "If any of you wish to join in, I won't stop you either. After all, this is the chance to become a deity. If I bar the way, I might appear to be too unreasonable." Jiang Taitsong hurriedly waved his hands the moment he heard and said, No, my lord, I was just saying. You just take it as me, old Jiang, letting out a fart." Ao Qian could not watch on anymore and spoke up, "My lord, Taitsong," Yi Yuan used a hand gesture to stop Ao Qian and said coolly, "There is little common ground for understanding between people of differing Daos. If anyone among you guys want to contend for that chance to become a deity, you can tell me. I absolutely won't stop it, and can even undo the soul contract. But our fate will come to an end here." Yi Yuan's words made the four people palpitate with fear. His Excellency normally had a kind and pleasant countenance and rarely restrained them. But this time, he seemed to have really become angry. Done talking, Yi Yuan minded his own business and went to one side, and shut his eyes to rest his mind. The four people exchanged glances, their expressions all incomparably ugly. Over there, Ding Zhangguo was already feeling out the weak area of the grand array. Everyone was looking at him anxiously, while Ao Qian, the four of them were akin to ants on a hot pan. The time they followed Yi Yuan was not long, but they received tremendous grace from Yi Yuan. They were long dead set on Yi Yuan already. It was just that this time, it concerned becoming a deity. They were really unable to remain composed. That was why they would question Yi Yuan's decision. Ha, he's already giving you guys the cold shoulder. You all are still chasing after him? Brat already said that he's willing to undo your soul contracts. This is a chance to achieve deity realm. Do you all want to give up? At this time, Yu Xinping suddenly appeared and said with a laugh. Starting from Yi Yuan saying to give up on the Dao spirit fruit, he had been paying attention to the situation on this side. Seeing that Yi Yuan actually fell out with his subordinates, Yu Xinping was abnormally excited. He saw that Ao Qian and the rest could not make the decision. Hence, he wanted to incite them to betray Yi Yuan. This way, Yi Yuan being all by himself would be much easier to deal with. Those wanting to kill Yi Yuan here were not one or two people. Without these void mystic realm powerhouses, he would not be far from death as well. It was fine if he did not show up, but with this shooting off his mouth, Jiang Taitsong immediately exploded. He pointed at Yu Xinping's nose and cursed, "What the H-E-L has it got to do with you here? What has it got to do with you if your father can't become a deity? Your father just doesn't want to become a deity. So what? Worrying over people eating salty carrots. You want to sow discord. Is it? When your grandpa Jiang is playing this trick, you were still in your mother's tummy. Get lost for your father. Otherwise, I'll beat you until you look all over the floor for your teeth." Done talking, he did not bother with the dumbfounded and mouth-gaping Yu Xinping either, and directly scurried before Yi Yuan and knelt down, slapping himself nonstop as he said viciously, "My lord, it was old Jiang, who was befuddled. Old Jiang understands that, my lord, you are doing it for our good. In this life, old Jiang isn't going anywhere. I pledge allegiance to my lord for life." Seeing this scene, Yu Xinping opened his mouth wide, with a look of disbelief. This scene's change was seriously too quick. He did not think that this guy was actually really able to resist the temptation of becoming a deity. Right at this time, Ao Qian glared at him fiercely and said icily, "Asked you to get lost, didn't hear? Want your grandpa, to send you off, is it?" Yu Xinping did not fear Jiang Taitsong, but he was not Ao Qian's match. Seeing Ao Qian about to fly off the handle, he said with an awkward look, "G going right now." Seeing Yu Xinping walk far away, Ao Qian trio came before Yu Xinping and directly knelt down. "My lord," Ao Qian was muddled. "My lord, please punies." Plus done talking. He also gave himself 2 tight slaps. Wu Luo and Wan Shuangzhou also imitated Ao Qian and said, "My lord, please punies." Plus, Yi Yuan's gaze swept over the 4 people's face, his tone somewhat cold as he said, "This is the first time, and also the last time. Everyone says that if you use a man, don't suspect him. If you suspect him, don't use him. To me, this is the case. To you guys, it's similarly like so. Although you all are my servants in name, I've never treated you guys as servants. If you all don't even trust me, then our fate has also come to an end." The 4 people's hearts turned fearful, and they said in unison, "My lord, we were wrong." Yi Yuan nodded slightly. His tone relaxed a little, and said, talking about deity realm, "I yearn for it more than any of you, but this time, trust me, this Dao spirit fruit definitely has something wrong." Yi Yuan's such firm tone made the 4 people startled in their hearts. Chapter 1069. 100,000 martial artists breaking the formation together. Chapter 1069. 100,000 martial artists breaking the formation together. Perk Dingzhangua, who was currently studying the heaven-burning annihilation chaos grand array, suddenly spewed out a mouthful of blood, giving everyone a scare. "Master Ding, are you all right?" Seeing his appearance, there was immediately someone who went up to show great concern. At this very moment, He was everyone's hope. Even if there was a bit of rustling of leaves in the wind, it would affect everyone's hearts. Ding Zhangguo waved his hand and said, "I'm fine. It's just overly exhausting my mind. This divine rank grand array is indeed incomparably profound." This old man comprehended for 3 days and nights, and finally caught a trace of inkling. Hearing Ding Zhangguo say so, everyone all had excited looks. Sun Man came forward and said with clasped hands, "Since Master has some gains, please advise on how to break the formation." Ding Zhangguo slowly nodded his head and said, "I dare not say give advice, but everyone should be of one mind and work together. This heaven-burning annihilation chaos grand array truly seizes the good fortune of heaven and earth. Even among divine rank grand arrays, it should be an immensely powerful existence too. It's just that through the devastation of time, it's already far from before. Otherwise, no matter how many people we have, it's impossible to break it too." Everyone waited for Ding Zhangguo to continue with looks of antic. P-ation. They were completely unconcerned with how profound the grand array was. They only wanted to know how to break the formation. 3 days of waiting, they were already burning with impatience. Ding Zhangguo continued slowly. "Initially, this grand array is without any weakness to exploit, as if it's chaos, making people having no way of making the first move. But no idea why, there's a nodal point in the southeastern direction that's very weak. When the time comes, everybody must attack this point together. There should be hopes of breaking the formation." When Ding Zhangguo finished talking, the corners of Yi Yuan's mouth curled up slightly, appearing very disdainful. These 3 days he had nothing to do, and was also observing this grand array the whole time. "My lord, did Master Ding say incorrectly?" Wan Shuangzhou asked softly. Yi Yuan said, "This grand array has clearly sustained heavy damage before, and is long a far cry from before already. Although that node in the southeast direction is a weak area, it's one of the array formation's strongest nodal points. Its power is bound to be extremely strong. Even if they can break the array formation, probably over half of the martial artists present will be dead or injured." The words made Ao Qian and the rest feel a chill run down their spines. Over half dead or injured, that was at least 50,000 martial artists. Such terrifying power was simply unheard of. Very clearly, Ding Zhangguo did not see through this point. Yi Yuan's comprehension of this grand array had far surpassed, said Ding Zhangguo. While talking, that side already prepared to break the formation. It was only to see them all rub their fists and wiped their palms, abnormally excited. However, they did not know that the G-O-D of death had already quietly arrived. Once they broke the formation, the vicinity would definitely become H-E-L on Earth. The densely packed crowd of martial artists came to that weak node in the southeast direction. Sun Man stood in the air and called out in a clear voice, "Now, everyone, each of you circulates your strongest attacks and await my command. Everybody make a move in unison and attack this nodal point at the same time. We only have one chance. If we can't break the grand array, we'll likely suffer the grand array's backlash immediately. Hence, I hope that everyone doesn't think about holding back strength. Once the others are annihilated by the grand array, you all can forget about getting the Tao spirit fruit as well." One had to admit that Sun Man was an expert in stirring up the atmosphere. With him saying so, the expressions on everyone's faces became solemn. Among them, there were clearly quite a number of people harboring the mentality of fists. Plussing in troubled waters. They planned on showing up for the work, but not exerting themselves, saving strength to N-A-T-C-H, the Tao spirit fruit at the back. With Sun Man saying so, probably the vast majority of the people would not dare to have this notion anymore. A grand array's backlash was no joke. Those few divine king experts' outcomes previously, everyone already saw it. Sun Man slowly swept a glance over everyone and said coldly, "Now, begin." Following Sun Man's order, all of the martial artists each displayed their strongest martial technique, ACCU, mulating power, and awaiting release. With over 100,000 martial artists displaying martial techniques at the same time, this spectacle was truly incomparably astonishing. Plussing, casting one's gaze over. As far as the eye could see was filled with a dazzling, multicolored light, incomparably breathtaking. Everyone was ACCU, mulating power, and awaiting release. But the essence energy undulations which everyone exuded virtually made people asphyxiated. This point, it was not just Yi Yuan and his group felt it, even they themselves felt it too. At this instant, they suddenly had a sort of blind confidence. They felt that this round of collective volley, even deity realm powerhouses would have to nurse a grievance to. They had never felt that they were so powerful before. Release. Sun Man gave a fierce cry. All of the martial artists practically fired over towards that grand array's nodal point at the same time. Those who entered the immemorial medicine garden, even the weakest had phaseless realm strength. This round of collective release was truly unbelievably astounding. One wave after another of incredibly powerful attacks converged to form a terrifying destructive power, blasting on the grand array. That sort of feeling was akin to two armies facing off, 10,000 arrows releasing together. The whole process being incomparably grand. But these martial artists' control over their own attacks, those soldiers could not hold a candle to it. Each attack did not deviate in the slightest. 100,000 attacks landed on that node, accurately, giving off a series of rumbling sounds. Rumble. The entire grand array started trembling intensely, especially that nodal point, which actually fragmented apart. When those martial artists saw this situation, each and every one of them was incomparably excited. But in the next instant, their smiles froze on their faces. Swaz. H. Plus swaz. H. Plus terrifying fire essence power sprawled out above the grand array, turning into countless streams of light and shooting into the crowd of martial artists. That spectacle was akin to a meteor shower raining down, except the destructive power of these flames were countless times stronger compared to a meteor shower. Arg! Waves of miserable cries sounded over. How could those martial artists still bother with S? N-A-T-C, Hing Wat Dao spirit fruit. Each and every one of them scattered in all directions, shrill, miserable cries rising one after another. In a blink of an eye, this immemorial medicine garden really became H-E-L-L on Earth. Virtually half of the martial artists were directly burned to death by this raging flame. Yi Yuan hit the mark. Yi Yuan, let me out. Suddenly, a voice came from Yi Yuan's sea of consciousness. It was Yi Qing. Ever since after Yi Yuan went to Bright Moon City, he had been in close seclusion in the vast heaven pag. Oh, all along. After giving birth to a primordial spirit, Yi Yuan helped him to tidy up his meridians too. This made his cultivation speed become very fast. At present, he was already middle stage tier 9. Yi Yuan's brows furrowed, and he let Yi Qing out. What is it? Yi Yuan asked curiously. Ever since Yi Qing entered the vast heaven pag. Oh, he never came out again. But this time, he had a rare show of initiative to request to come out. Yi Qing said, "That Tao spirit tree is already dead. I sense a terrifying aura transmitting over from underground. These fools seem to have poked a hole in the sky. Yi Yuan, quickly run. Any slower, and you won't be able to escape anymore." The moment these words came out, the expressions of Ao Qian and the rest all changed drastically. Unfortunately, Yi Yuan's prophecy had come true and hit the mark. This whatever Tao spirit fruit indeed had a problem. Rumble. Right then, within the heaven-burning annihilation chaos grand array, a Ma-S Sivine broke out of the earth and slammed onto the grand array from inside. The position it attacked was precisely that vulnerable nodal point. Crack, crack, crack. Cracking sounds as if GLA-S breaking transmitted over. Thin lines of cracks appeared on the grand array. Chapter 1070, Terrifying Holy Mother Devil Flower. Chapter 1070, Terrifying Holy Mother Devil Flower. Ha ha ha, Holy Mother Devil Flower, you finally see the light of day anew. From this day forth, my fiend race shall rule the divine realm. Ha ha ha. Yi Yuan was just about to cast merging into heaven and earth to leave, when he suddenly heard that black-clothed person. He exchanged blows with previously let out a burst of crazed laughter. At this moment, black gas wove around the black-clothed person's body, emitting a shocking power, not the slightest bit weaker compared to void mystic powerhouses. It was not just that black-clothed person, but on the bodies of those Medicine King Hall's martial artists as well. Each and every one of them were swathed in black gas. Seeing this scene, Yi Yuan's expression could not help changing drastically. He finally recalled who this black-clothed person was. Fiend Ji. Oh, Di Jialan. This guy actually ganged up together with the Medicine King Hall's people. No, wait, why would fiendish energy also billow to the skies on the bodies of those Medicine King Hall martial artists, especially Sun Man? The fiendish energy on his body was not at all inferior to Jia Lan's either. Yi Yuan's head rumbled and went blank all of a sudden. All of the doubts were suddenly cleared up in this instant. Turns out that the fiend race had long infiltrated into the Medicine King Hall. That was why there was that Ma-S Civ accident back then. Most likely, Ji Kanglin was completely a member of the fiend race. He laid low in the Medicine King Hall. The goal was to be able to take over the position one day. Ji Kanglin was simply an ambitious and savage wolf. The current Medicine King Hall had already been utterly reduced to a den of monsters. Even Sun Man already fell into the demonic path. "My lord, what's with you? Are you all right?" Jiang Taitsong asked concernedly. The current Yi Yuan was trembling from head to toe due to agitation. He never would have thought that the fiend race actually concealed so deeply. As early as several hundred years ago, they were already plotting to devour the Medicine King Hall. If Ji Kanglin was of the fiend race, then everything could be explained. Why he betrayed Father, betrayed the Medicine King Hall. The root of all this was because of the fiend race. Moreover, Father Ji Zhengyang had also said it back then, Ji Kanglin still had an even stronger faction behind him. Then this faction should be the fiend race. Even if Yi Yuan was impossibly smart, he was also unable to predict that the truth of the matter was actually like this. Yi Yuan sucked in a deep breath. Forcefully composing himself, he waved his hand and said, "I'm fine, but this devil vine coming into being, the divine realm will likely have a change in rule." No need Yi Yuan to say. The few people already deeply sensed the might of the devil vine. That surging fiendish energy already gradually overflowed from inside the fragmented grand array. Just this tip of the iceberg practically made people give up all hope already. The Tao spirit tree, originally fluctuating with essence energy, actually directly withered to death at this time, while the Tao spirit fruit immediately disappeared. This was completely a hoax, a scheme. Only then did those martial artists fleeing in any path they could, after swiftly coming to a realization. These 100,000 people, were utterly wrapped around Sun Man's little finger. What Tao spirit tree, Tao spirit fruit, what becoming a deity? It was utter rubbish. Plus this Sun Man really acted out of full play, deceiving everybody. And the only one who saw through Sun Man's play was only Lord Qingyunzi. However, they shrugged off Lord Qingyunzi's warning. As expected, it's a scheme. If I'd long known, I should have listened to Lord Qingyunzi's word and immediately leave this place. The Medicine King Hall has already been thoroughly reduced to the fiend race's lackeys. They deceived all of the people in the divine realm. What the Hell is that? It's going to break the seal and come out right away. Cue quickly run. At the moment, those martial artists who were lucky to not be burned to death all put a desperate fight, wanting to escape. This devil vine had not come out yet, but they knew that this was not an existence that they were capable of dealing with. Rumble, that holy mother devil flower, ACCU, mulat for a long time and gave the Grand Array another great attack. With this, the Grand Array fragmented with a loud bang. The next instant, a terrifying thing happened. The moment the Grand Array broke, countless vines grew crazily from underneath the earth, and they intertwined over towards those martial artists, running desperately for their lives. Pucci, a vine directly pieced through a 7th-level Dao profound powerhouse's chest. That martial artist drooped down without any strength in his entire body. Following that, his whole body was shriveling at a speed visible to the naked eye, then was directly absorbed to become a human jerky. Those countless vines rose and covered the skies, enveloping everyone inside in virtually an instant. Those martial artists' fleeing speed was already very fast, but the speed of the vines was even faster than them. As long as they were slightly touched by the vines a little, they would immediately be sucked into a human jerky, looking horrifyingly ghastly. In virtually a blink of an eye, there was a large group of martial artists killed by the vines. These vines were seriously too powerful. Beneath Divine King, there was virtually not much leeway to resist, and they were instantly killed. Those Divine King powerhouses also all exerted themselves to the utmost before barely managing to resist and not letting the vines easily kill them. My lord, seize the chance that vine has not charged over to our side here, and quickly run. Ao Qian said, Yes, my lord. This D.A.M. and vine is too powerful. If it's really as you said, the divine realm's great catastrophe has come. Jiang Taizong said with lingering fear in his heart. Fortunately, their group of people was far away. If they were close, it would be hard to avoid a great battle at this time too. That devil vine seemed to not have noticed the situation over here yet. This made everyone involuntarily heave a sigh in relief. They wanted to escort Yi Yuan away from here, who knew that Yi Yuan shook his head and said, I can't let this thing come into existence. Otherwise, it will likely be even more hopeless for me to want to kill Ji Kanglin. Yi Yuan's words made everyone's hearts thump a bit. No way, right? Milord could he be wanting to go and clash head-on with that Holy Mother Devil Flower? Even void mystic powerhouses were not this Holy Mother Devil Flower's match either. You guys look. Everyone looked over in the direction that Yi Yuan pointed at and could not help getting a huge shock. They were drawn by the devil vine's frenzied slaughter earlier and did not notice the situation inside the Grand Array. At this time, on that withered Dao spirit tree, an incomparably beautiful giant flower actually formed. Following the martial artist's blood essence that the devil vine absorbed becoming more and more, this beautiful flower became even more bright-colored and luxuriant. In contrast, that originally incomparably outrageous fiendish energy was actually still in the middle of growing steadily. Ao Qian's expression changed greatly, and he said, It's absorbing martial artist's blood essence to recover strength. This Holy Mother Devil Flower, it's definitely in existence. That Serpa S. said the deity realm originally. At this time, the outcome will be too ghastly to imagine. Yi Yuan said, "You guys look at that black-clothed person, and also Sun Man they all. Their fiendish energy are also growing, especially that black-clothed person. In this short while his fiendish energy already grew by a great deal." Ao Qian's eyes were filled with an expression of shock. That black-clothed person's strength was originally equivalent to late-stage Tao profound martial artists too. In just this short while, he already directly broke through to Divine King realm. Furthermore, his aura was still steadily rising. At this time, the black-clothed person's strength was simply going to be unimaginable. Yi Yuan's expression was calm and uttered words that made everyone shudder with fear. That black-clothed person is called Jialan Fianji. Oh, Di Jialan. Back then in the boneyard, he broke free and was seriously injured by me. I didn't think that in these few years' time, he actually ran to the Medicine King Hall and found a suitable physical body and recovered to Emperor Realm strength. You look at his expression, it's incomparably respectful toward this Holy Mother Devil Flower. That can only mean that this Holy Mother Devil Flower's rank is even higher than his. Chapter 1071, Undying Body. Chapter 1071, Undying Body. The few people exchanged a glance, each seeing thick astonishment from the other party's eyes. The information that Yi Yuan's words revealed was too many. Firstly, it was Fianji. Oh, Di Jialan. Fianji. Oh, Di this term, only deity realm powerhouses were worthy of possessing, which was also to say that that black-clothed person you ped into previously was actually a deity realm powerhouse. Although Jialan was a far cry from before, deity realm was deity realm. It was the realm that all of the martial artists yearned for. Of course, this was not what shocked them the most. What made them the most shocked was that when Fianji, Di Jialan came into being, Yi Yuan was actually present. Moreover, he even seriously wounded the Fianji. Yi Yuan did not break through to Tao Profound Realm for very long too. Then, when he encountered Jialan, just what was his cultivation realm at that time? The Yi Yuan, who was inferior, actually defeated the Fianji. Di at the latter's own ground. This was too inconceivable. One could imagine that if not for Yi Yuan, the current divine realm would probably long have had a wave of sanguinary slaughter set off already, because there was that serious injury that time. That was why it made Jialan have no choice but to cease all activities and search for a physical body anew to recover strength again. This delay was several years' time. Except, everyone did not expect that the Medicine King Hall's connection with the fiend race was actually so deep. If not for the Medicine King Hall, probably Jialan's recovery of strength would still have to postpone several years, even as long as several dozen years. Another thing, this Holy Mother Devil Flower was actually an existence even more terrifying than Fianji. Di Jialan. What kind of existence was that? They could not imagine it, but it must be very dreadful. The only thing worthy of us rejoicing over is that this Holy Mother Devil Flower's strength is likewise greatly discounted due to being suppressed for too long. It should be incredibly weak right now. If we don't get rid of it at this time, it would likely sow seeds of trouble in the future. Moreover, I feel that it's just like a mother inoculating fiendish energy. In my view, this Holy Mother Devil Flower should be a very important thing to the fiend race. We absolutely cannot let it come into being just like that. Yi Yuan said solemnly, but, my lord, even if it's very weak, it's also not what we're able to deal with. You look at those few. Jiang Taitsong said. Everyone looked over but saw that Sword 13 and Shu Yunqing, these void mystic realm powerhouses, were all put in a miserable state by the devil vine. Furthermore, in pace with the increased and slaughtered martial artists by the devil vine, Its strength was gradually building up. The more it dragged, the greater the danger those void mystic powerhouses would be in. The weak, Holy Mother Devil Flower was also not what they could shake. Yi Yuan's brows furrowed, and he said, "My mind is made up, don't say any more." In a while, you guys entered the vast heaven pack. Oh, duh, I'll dash to the vicinity of its main body with merging into heaven and earth. Everyone listen to my command, and attack its main body together. The four people's expressions turned austere, all nodding their heads. Although they were somewhat fearful, they also knew that what Yi Yuan said was right. Not dealing with the Holy Mother Devil Flower today. There would likely not be any more chance in the future. Yi Yuan and Ji Kanglin's score had to be settled sooner or later. If Ji Kanglin got the Holy Mother Devil Flower up the Medicine King Hall, Yi Yuan would virtually have no hope of taking revenge anymore. Moreover, if they let this Holy Mother Devil Flower out, the divine realm would definitely be plunged into an abyss of suffering. Whether for the collective or personally, eliminating the Holy Mother Devil Flower was a must. "I'm going too," Yi Qing suddenly said in a cold voice. Yi Yuan was somewhat puzzled. Today's Yi Qing seemed to be rather unusual, but he did not say much either and just nodded his head. Yi Yuan's mind stirred and took everyone into the vast heaven pack. Then directly vanished on the spot. The next instant, he already arrived in the proximity of the giant flower. However, Yi Yuan still underestimated the Holy Mother Devil Flower. His figure had yet to appear when a devil vine suddenly stabbed out diagonally, slamming directly onto the void. Bang! Yi Yuan's figure was actually directly smashed out. His merging into heaven and earth actually lost effectiveness a second time. Attack! Yi Yuan seemed to have been long prepared about this. With a loud cry, he let everyone out. Ao Qian, the 5 people, had long already been ACCU, mule-adding power and awaiting release, getting ready their attacks. Yi Yuan also took out the Sacred Dragon token without any hesitation and immediately extracted 10% of his blood essence and a large one tie of divine essence, and poured it into the Sacred Dragon token. 6 attacks with overwhelming power blasted over at that beautiful flower. Yi Yuan's Sacred Dragon token even left people far behind in the dust, drawing a stream of dazzling light in the sky, heading straight for the giant flower. Whoosh! The beautiful flower was naturally unwilling to be captured without putting up a fight. It summoned out countless vines to surround and suppress the 6 people. Bang! 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 The devil vine was incomparably fearsome from beginning to end. Ao Qian 5 people's attacks were actually directly blocked by the vines. Only Yi Yuan's attack directly tore open a large hole in the devil vine, its power not reducing in the slightest, and headed towards the flower's main body. Right at this time, the fiend Di Jialan, who had been consolidating fiendish energy all along, suddenly opened his eyes. His figure instantly vanished on the spot. Devil flames billowing to the skies. Jia Lan's figure reached first despite moving later, immediately appearing between the giant flower and the Sacred Dragon token's attack. At the same time, a violent black-colored flame erupted with him as the center and pounced straight for that attack. Rumble! 2 terrifying attacks collided together. Jia Lan's figure was instantly blasted until he flew out backward, viciously SMAs. Plussing him deep underground. This attack, Yi Yuan prevailed, but his salt target was the giant flower and not Jia Lan. This attack was neutralized by Jia Lan, just like that. In a blink of an eye, vines coiled over towards him crazily. As if enraged by Yi Yuan's attack, vines rose out of the ground one by one and unleashed terrifying attacks at Yi Yuan the 6 people. Yi Yuan did not hesitate in the slightest, operating merging into heaven and earth. He avoided the attacks of those vines. Yi Yuan, send me to the Tao spirit tree here. Yi Qing suddenly yelled out. Yi Yuan was slightly surprised, but did not think too much either. He knew that Yi Qing would not do any meaningless thing at this time. Immediately, without hesitation, Yi Yuan directly put the 5 of them away into the vast heaven pag. Oh, do again, and merged into heaven and earth once more. Rumble! Yi Yuan just thought about approaching the giant flower when he was smashed out of the void by the crazed vines. He was not discouraged and merged into heaven and earth once more, attempting to skirt around those vines. But no matter how he went around, he would always be smashed out from the void by the devil vine. This devil vine's comprehension of laws had clearly far surpa, as said him. Ha! A useless brat. The Holy Mother Devil Flower is a heaven and earth spiritual plant. Its comprehension of heavenly Tao laws is far stronger than yours. You're merging into heaven, and earth can't even pa-s through my round. So how can you possibly pa-s it persistently? A black figure scurried out from underground. It was precisely the fiend Di Jialan, who was just smashed underground by Yi Yuan. Jialan was still surging with fiendish energy at this time, and actually did not look the least bit injured. Seeing this scene, Yi Yuan could not help being slightly surprised too. For the sake of that attack just now, he extracted away 1/10 of his blood essence and expended a large amount of divine essence. Jialan actually did not sustain any injury. Seeing Yi Yuan's expression, Jialan was delighted to the extreme and laughed wildly as he said, "Why? Are you very surprised? Why, I'm not hurt." Ha ha ha. The sacred dragon token is indeed formidable, but the Holy Mother Devil Flower is the mother of the fiend race. With it around, I'm of the undying body. Therefore, prepare to die. Chapter 1072, Complete Dragon Transformation, Golden Right Claw. Chapter 1072, Complete Dragon Transformation, Golden Right Claw, Undying Body. Jialan's words made Yi Yuan startled in his heart. He knew that Jialan was not deceiving him. This Holy Mother Devil Flower seemed to be able to provide him fiendish energy unceasingly. Yi Yuan knew how terrifying his attack earlier was. Even if Jialan had Divine King Cultivation Realm currently, it was also not possible to be completely unscathed. This was also to say that if he was unable to destroy that flower, he would forever not be able to defeat Jialan. Furthermore, there were still so many devil vines giving him help. Undying body, is it? Yi Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly, and he suddenly took out the Star Moon Sword. Limitless Life-Death Sword. The moment the quasi-divine King Domain appeared, even Jialan felt incomparably amazed too. Fine lad, just second-level Tao Profound, and you actually comprehended Divine King Domain already. Your talent is truly heaven-defying in this age of declining laws. However, using it to deal with me, still too tender. Shock was only shock. Jialan's present strength was much stronger than Yi Yuan. Jialan was not what trash could compare to. He was once a fiend decultivation realm powerhouse. His comprehension of laws was far stronger than ordinary martial artists. He did not avoid the incomparably sharp sword intent in the slightest and directly smashed a punch over towards Yi Yuan. Rumble! After one blow, Yi Yuan's Divine King Domain was actually struck until it directly crumbled, his figure being sent flying out too. Those vines also seized the opportunity and wanted to capture him, coiling over towards Yi Yuan. Yi Yuan's figure suddenly disappeared, evading the devil vine's attack ingeniously. What a powerful physical body! Jialan actually only relied on the power of the fleshy body to forcefully scatter Yi Yuan's Divine King Domain. Once the fiend race obtained a fleshy body, they were truly unbelievably powerful. The current Jialan was more than several times stronger than when at the boneyard. Ha ha! Boy, your divine king domain is too weak. If you really reached the realm of Void Mystic, I'd really not be your match. But the current you, I can crush you casually. Jialan said insolently. Toward Yi Yuan, Jialan hated to the max, in his heart too. If not for Yi Yuan severely wounding him, he would have long already recovered to a considerable strength now, and not reach an extent of making compromises to salvage the situation for the past few years. Being seriously injured by the soul-suppressing peel that time, he had not recovered his vitality until now as well. Using a trick to let the Holy Mother Devil Flower out this time, a very large part of the reason was in order to recover vitality. Now that he ran into Yi Yuan a second time, Jialan would naturally have to overpower properly, so as to give vent to the hatred in his heart. Yi Yuan spat and said with a cold smile, casually cruce, I plussing me, huh? Bring it on. Roar. A shocking dragon roar tore through the horizon. Yi Yuan's figure suddenly disappeared. The place he was originally standing at, a 1,000-foot-long Civ Azure Dragon actually appeared at this time. Different from ordinary Azure Dragons, this Azure Dragon's right claw presented a golden color. Seeing this scene, Jialan's pupils constricted, unbelievably shocked. Complete dragon transformation. This boy actually wants to compete in fleshy body with me. Golden right claw, coiling dragon, heaven devastating palm. The Civ Azure Dragon spoke human language, its right claw smacking out with a whistle. Immediately, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. An enormous essence energy palm carried the might of heaven and earth, smacking over in the direction where Jialan was standing. After complete dragonification, the power of Yi Yuan's physical body skyrocketed several times. Adding on the late-stage spirit rank coiling dragon heaven devastating palm, as well as the golden right claw refined and formed with the primeval dragon bone. The might of this palm was incomparably shocking. This palm could absolutely blow up an ordinary divine king. Jialan's expression changed and suddenly slammed a fist out. Peerlessly violent fiendish energy headed for that enormous palm incomparably, savagely. Evil fiend divine fist. In the sky, one azure and one black, two terrifying attacks collided together, stirring up an incomparably violent air billow. The 1,000-foot-long azure dragon that Yi Yuan transformed into a struck until he flew out in reverse. But Jialan was even more tragic. He was smacked into the ground by Yi Yuan's palm once again. Terrifying essence energy rippled out, directly destroying a large stretch of the devil vines. But with this, it rescued a large group of martial artists. They looked at that incomparably magnificent huge dragon in the sky, incredibly in awe and veneration in their hearts. 20 years in a blink of an eye, Lord Qingyunzi is truly remarkable. Now, he's no longer that Qingyunzi who only knows how to refine pills. Divine King Domain, complete dragon transformation. Also, that golden right claw, simply too terrifying. That blow earlier could absolutely blow up an ordinary divine king. Lord Qingyunzi is truly the only one awake while the world is drunk. To think that we were still afraid of him, Hing, the Tao spirit fruit with us previously. Thinking about it now, really ashamed. Yeah, Lord Qingyunzi originally could run away, but he chose to stay behind. We can't watch him fight alone. Everyone attack together and exterminate that devil flower. Those martial artists saved by Yi Yuan were all incredibly ashamed. Quite a number of people were moved by Yi Yuan and charged over toward the Holy Mother Devil Flower without heed for their lives. Don't! Yi Yuan roared. However, it was already too late. Countless vines extended out from under the ground once more, virtually devouring those martial artists in an instant. At present, of the 100,000 martial artists, those who died were dead, those injured were down. There were already less than 10% remaining. In this short while, the devil vines already slaughtered several tens of thousands of martial artists and absorbed large ties of blood essence. And these blood essences were currently regurgitation feeding the Medicine King Hall's martial artists. Up till now, only Jialan alone took action, while the Medicine King Hall's martial artists all had not made a move yet. Sword 13, Shu Yunqing, He Dajiang, what are you all still waiting for? Once the devil flower comes into being, none of you can escape. Yi Yuan roared furiously in the air. He knew that these guys had been watching the fire on the opposite SHORE the whole time and did not exert their utmost effort. Void Mystic Realm powerhouses were unlikely to be effortlessly finished off by a few tendrils of the devil vine. Being exposed by Yi Yuan like this, the few people knew that they could not carry on feigning any longer. Each and every one of them had a grand display of invincible might and dispersed the vines very quickly. Swoosh! After He Dajiang broke apart the vines, he did not remain, but sped straight for the immemorial medicine garden's entrance. He Dajiang, you're shameless! Shu Yangkung cursed, but he had not finished scolding yet when several more figures fled outwards. They were precisely Wu Yuanxiao, Yu Xinping, and the others. At this time, Jia Lan tunneled out from underneath the earth again, and still surged with heinous, fiendish energy, without any hints of suffering injuries at all. He looked at the few profiles currently leaving at full speed, and said with a cold smile, "Ha! Want to run? You all are also looking down on Lord, Holy Mother too much." His voice had yet to fade when intense tremor sounds suddenly came from below the ground. Rumble! Several vines suddenly tunneled out from underground and bound He Dajiang trio up with a momentum like a sudden peal of thunder, which left no time for covering ears. But these vines were different from those in front of them. They were all purplish-black color. When Sword 13 and the rest saw this scene, they all turned pale with fright. Turns out that until now, this devil vine hasn't used its full strength yet. Sword 13's expression was very ugly as he muttered, "These purplish-black devil vines should be that Holy Mother Devil Flower's main body. Previously not attacking was because it hasn't broken free from beneath the earth yet. Now that it absorbed so many martial artists' blood essence, its strength has already recovered too much," Yi Yuan said solemnly. Chapter 1073, Withered Tree Sprouting New Leaves in Spring. Chapter 1073, Withered Tree Sprouting New Leaves in Spring, absorbing several tens of thousands of martial artists' blood essence. The devil vine finally revealed its fangs. He Dajiang Trio's bodies were currently shriveling at a speed visible to the naked eye. Void mystic powerhouses of an era actually perished just like that. This scene made everyone suck in a cold breath. Jia Lan laughed loudly and said, "Lord Holy Mother will become more and more powerful after absorbing blood essence. Although the current divine realm's laws don't allow deity realm powerhouses to exist, with her foundation, there isn't any difficulty in reaching half-deity realm. Hence, none of you can escape today. Everyone here today, all have to die." Jia Lan's words made Sword 13, and the rest incomparably horrified. Half-deity realm sounded extraordinary, but they did not know that Yi Yuan knew what half-deity realm was. Back then, Fang Tian and that heavenly fiendji, they were half-deity realm. Any one among them was an existence capable of sweeping across the divine realm. If the Holy Mother Devil Flower could reach that kind of existence, forget about them. It was a catastrophe to the entire divine realm too. Yi Yuan said with a cold smile. Is that so? Then I'll kill you first. Done talking, Yi Yuan deployed the coiling dragon heaven devastating palm once more, planning to severely injure Jialan again. Jialan laughed loudly and said, It's no use, boy. Your golden right claw is indeed formidable, but no matter how you fight, it's impossible to kill me. Yi Yuan sneered coldly and said, We'll only know if I try. When Sword 13, they all saw He Dajiang's miserable state. They could not hold back anymore as well. Sword 13 cried out, Fight it out with them. Exterminate the Medicine King Hall's people first. Sword 13 was the one whose strength was the most intact among all of the Void mystic powerhouses right now. He did not hesitate in the slightest before charging towards Sun Man. The other Void mystic powerhouses knew that there was no way to resolve things today anymore. And also through the last trace of mentality of getting lucky to the back of their minds, all charging over towards the Medicine King Hall that side. The Medicine King Hall's experts were surrounded by a cloud of fiendish energy at this time, appearing very dark and frightening. Seeing Sword 13, they all took action. Sun Man laughed coldly and stepped forward wielding his sword. The two groups of people instantly clashed together. What made this group of people astounded was that they all, so many Void mystic powerhouses, did not form a one-sided suppression. Those Medicine King Hall's Divine King powerhouses, each and every one of their strength was actually not beneath theirs. Especially Sun Man. In just the work of a few moves, he forced Sword 13 until he was teetering on his feet, all the way until Shu Yunqing joined the group battle, before both sides barely managed to fight to a draw. As for the others, they could not gain any advantage at all. Furthermore, the purplish-black vines also Hara said those Void mystic powerhouses from time to time. These Void mystic powerhouses were actually surrounded by peril, while on another side, a violent coiling dragon heaven devastating palm arrived with a howl once more. Jialan was not careless either. It was the evil fiend Divine, fist again, heading straight for Yi Yuan. Two terrifying attacks looking as if they were about to collide in the air. But a change suddenly occurred. Yi Yuan carried the horrifying coiling dragon heaven devastating palm and vanished before Jialan's eyes. At virtually the same time, Yi Yuan's figure suddenly appeared in the vicinity of the Holy Mother Devil Flower. At this time, the coiling dragon heaven devastating palm was just about to finish ACCU, mulating power. Yi Yuan suddenly smacked a palm out. Seeing this scene, Jialan revealed a look of shock. He completely did not think that Yi Yuan actually pulled this trick on him, making use of merging into heaven and earth to ruthlessly play with him. This bit of distance was seriously too near to merging into heaven and earth. Even if his speed was any faster, he could not keep up with Yi Yuan's speed either. He could only watch Yi Yuan's coiling dragon, heaven-devastating palm rumble towards the Holy Mother Devil Flower helplessly. That Holy Mother Devil Flower clearly had intelligence, but also did not expect Yi Yuan to pull this move. But its reaction was also extremely swift. The instant Yi Yuan merged into heaven and earth, it detected Yi Yuan's intentions. Purplish-black vines rose to the sky, desperately wanting to block off Yi Yuan's coiling dragon, heaven-devastating palm. This move of Yi Yuan's directly caught a time lag, from merging into heaven and earth to revealing his body. The coiling dragon, heaven-devastating palm's palm force already completed. It was just moving places. Rumble. The vines were directly treated as meat cuz. HI plus-ons for the Holy Mother Devil Flower, being pulverized into shreds by the coiling dragon, heaven-devastating palm. But with this block, the coiling dragon, heaven-devastating palm did not have much power remaining anymore as well. This bit of attack could not cause the least bit of threat to the Holy Mother Devil Flower at all. Yi Yuan still wanted to attack when another wave of devil vines flew out. Jia Lan also rushed over already, not giving him any opportunity at all. Helpless, Yi Yuan battled together with Jia Lan once more. But all of the people did not notice that when Yi Yuan unleashed the coiling dragon heaven devastating palm, just now, an azure light quietly entered inside the already withered Tao spirit tree under the cover of the coiling dragon heaven devastating palm. The attack this time, Yi Yuan had long predicted that he would return without a accompli. Plusing anything. His true objective was in order to send Yi Qing over. Jia Lan intercepted Yi Yuan. This time, he was really seething with rage. Boy, to actually pull this trick on me. If a tiger doesn't demonstrate its prowess, do you really take this Lord Fianji? As someone to be trifled with? Jia Lan said with a furious roar. Dogfart Fianji. Aren't you just a divine king right now? What's there to be CKY about? Yi Yuan said with a disdainful look. When Jia Lan came into being back then, Yi Yuan was merely just a heaven enlightenment realm martial artist and could already play with him by relying on various kinds of methods. Several years said. Yi Yuan's progress rate far exceeded Jia Lan's imagination. For Jia Lan to want to thrash Yi Yuan again, like back then, it was already impossible. But Yi Yuan's words stepped onto Jia Lan's tail. He howled furiously. Boy, your Lord Jia Lan will let you take a look at what's a true Fianji. Fianji. D9 transformations, 6 transformation. Rumble. Jia Lan's body grew rapidly all of a sudden, and actually grew as much as 100 feet. His fiendish energy also instantly skyrocketed several dozen times. At the same time, sinister protruding fangs grew out of his mouth. The human hands also grew sharp talons. He looked just like a Fianji. Descending to the earth. Evil Fiend Divine Fist. Still the same move, but displaying it at this time was entirely different from earlier. Bang! Yi Yuan had no time to display any move, and was directly struck by this punch. The Civ dragon body was smashed into the depths under the ground like a cannonball. At this moment, Jia Lan utterly went berserk. That terrifying power. Even other Void Mystic Realm powerhouses also trembled with fear when they felt it. After Jia Lan went berserk, his strength skyrocketed more than 10 times compared to earlier. This whatever Fianji, D9 transformations was truly powerful to the extreme. Those Void Mystic Realm powerhouses were all endlessly alarmed and secretly rejoiced that their opponent was not Jia Lan. Jia Lan's figure instantly vanished on the spot. Then a series of rumbles came from beneath the earth. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The vines slaughtered the remnant martial artists wantonly, while on the other side, the group of Void Mystic powerhouses was also beaten until they did not have the least bit of strength to ward off blows. The entire battle situation was already completely controlled by the fiend race firmly. Yet, everyone did not notice that on that Tao spirit tree, which had long withered already, was akin to a withered tree sprouting new leaves in spring, growing out a tender shoot. The delicate shoot was incomparably weak, but was growing and strengthening at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 1074. Yi Qing showing his might. Chapter 1074. Yi Qing showing his might, the tiny bud became a little shoot. The little shoot became a small tree. The small tree gradually grew thick. The branches and leaves gradually flourished. Plusing. A large evergreen tree grew on the Tao spirit tree's deadwood. The Holy Mother Devil Flower was currently absorbing the martial artist's blood essence crazily when all of a sudden it started quivering intensely. That bright and juicy petal actually gradually became dim. Those void mystic powerhouses were currently put into a sorry state by the devil vines. Suddenly, those vines retreated like tidewater. The vines pursuing martial artists similarly retracted back. Everyone looked at this scene, all incomparably astounded, as if returning to the human world from H.L. In a twinkle, that small tree already grew into a large tree. Although it was less than a 1/10,000th of the Tao spirit tree, it was currently rapidly growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In contrast, the Holy Mother Devil Flower actually seemed like it withered. Not only did its color dim, but the giant flower petals were also currently gradually shrinking. Holy Mother Devil Flower looked like the small tree absorbed away all of the nutrients. Rumble! Jia Lan's punch sent Yi Yuan rumbling out of the surface of the earth, but he did not pursue it anymore. He felt that the strength in his body was disappearing bit by bit. At this time, Yi Yuan had long recovered to human form already, but his body was lacerated with wounds everywhere, looking very miserable. The strength of the Fiend Ji, D9 transformations Jialan, was truly incomparably terrifying. But the expression on Jialan's face was even more terrifying than Yi Yuan's injuries. What the H.E.L. did you do to Lord Holy Mother? Why? Why is my strength disappearing? Jialan said in terror. Yi Yuan flashed a miserable smile and said, Ho-hu, looking at that strange flower's appearance, it seems to be suffering. Don't ask me what I did, because I don't know either. Jialan's expression turned black, and he roared angrily, I'll kill you! Jialan suddenly slammed a fist out, aiming for Yi Yuan. Right at this time, that giant glower actually gave off a shrill and miserable cry, piercing until everyone's eardrums hurt. This cry made all of the martial artists jittery. Guseb, MPS breaking out all over the body. The Holy Mother Devil Flower was becoming small at a speed visible to the naked eye, finally becoming the size of a person. Then it actually transformed into a beauty. The beauty collapsed beside the large tree that had just grown weakly, unconscious to the world. That large tree suddenly transformed with a sway of its body and became the appearance of a youth. Who could it be if not Yi Qing? But Yi Qing's current condition, even Yi Yuan was greatly shocked too. Just how long had it been? Yi Qing actually directly rose to peak Tier 9. What on earth did this guy do? Just as Yi Yuan was in amazement, Yi Qing already mustered up enough essence energy, planning on giving that beauty a lethal blow. Jia Lan's expression changed drastically. How could he still care about Yi Yuan? His figure sped towards Yi Qing like lightning. However, it was too late. Rumble! The place the beauty was at was directly smashed into sludge by Yi Qing. The attack power of the peak Tier 9 Yi Qing could not be underestimated. Everything was over. Jia Lan looked at the debris all over the ground blankly, but already could not find traces of that beauty. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded with shock. This great fiend came into being, and was actually finished off by a youth right away. Yi Yuan looked at Yi Qing and said with a tragic smile, You punk really have some capabilities. What on earth did you do? Why would your strength advance tremendously? Yi Qing said with a smile, You all know that the Tao spirit fruit is able to let martial artists step into deity realm. Then, do you know the origin of the Tao spirit tree? Yi Yuan was stunned. The him who boasted of being all-knowing was also stumped this time. Legends only had it that the Tao spirit tree was a divine tree that could only bear one Tao spirit fruit, every one. 5 million years. But the origin of the Tao spirit tree, Yi Yuan had never heard before, because it was likely very hard for even deity realm powerhouses to live for as long as one. 5 million years. Looking at Yi Qing's expression, Yi Yuan suddenly had some realization. Tao spirit tree. Azure Spirit Tree. One word apart, could it be the two actually had some connections? Sure enough, Yi Qing said, once the Azure Spirit Tree attains Tao, it will transform into a Tao Spirit Tree. But the time required for the evolution of this process is far too long. Hence, there are virtually very few people who know. Hearing these words, Yi Yuan was endlessly amazed too. He even thought that the Tao Spirit Tree was a heaven and earth spiritual plant, and was born a divine tree. He did not think that it actually evolved from an Azure Spirit Tree. But this Tao Spirit Tree is clearly already withered. So how did you? Yi Yuan said curiously. This Tao Spirit Tree should be what an ancient powerhouse used to assist the grand array in suppressing the devil flower. It's just, they never expected that this devil flower was incomparably cunning, and actually planted a devil seed on the Tao Spirit Tree, leaching onto the Azure Spirit Tree. Countless years said, but the life force of the Azure Spirit Tree was drained away by the devil flower. The Tao Spirit Tree and Tao Spirit Fruit that we saw previously were merely an illusion formed by the devil flower. Because she leached on the Tao Spirit Tree, we were completely unable to differentiate the truth and false through the grand array at all. Yi Qing's words made Yi Yuan sigh endlessly. A perfectly fine Tao Spirit Tree was actually gone just like that. Yi Qing continued unhurriedly. Although the Tao Spirit Tree died, how vibrant was its life force? Furthermore, even though that devil flower exhausted the Tao Spirit Tree to death, countless years of suppression still made her expenditure immense. I'm from the same origin as the Tao Spirit Tree. Latching onto it directly severed that devil flower's escape route. Then I siphoned her life force crazily. Under my scheming, her vitality was greatly injured as well. Yi Qing did not avoid Jialan when talking. After Jialan heard, his face turned livid with rage. He gnashed his teeth in hatred, but without the Holy Mother Devil Flower, he was completely powerless and alone currently. Retreat. Jialan gritted his teeth and said he was just thinking of moving, but discovered that a large group of martial artists already encircled the surroundings. These martial artists were all remnants under the Holy Mother Devil Flower's besiegement. 100,000 martial artists. Only 2,000 to 3,000 people remained. Their hatred towards Jialan was completely unable to use words to describe. Run. Go on and run. You, these insidious and cunning fiends, didn't think that there would be instant retribution, right? Everybody, attack together. We must rip this guy's corpse apart. The martial artists able to survive were all experts among experts. Even if not divine king powerhouses, their concept's comprehension was definitely very high as well. Their strength left no room for doubt. These 2,000 to 3,000 martial artists attacking together was really more than what Jialan could handle. Except Yi Yuan's brows furrowed, still feeling that something was not right. Logically speaking, the die was cast, but why was the foreboding premonition in his heart getting heavier and heavier? Right then, a glint appeared in Yi Yuan's gaze. He caught a hint of a mocking smile at the corners of Jialan's mouth. Although it was only that instant, it was absolutely not wrong. Not good. Everybody, quickly scatter. The Holy Mother Devil Flower isn't dead at all. She lured everyone over to catch all in one fell swoop. Yi Yuan yelled. Hearing Yi Yuan's words, everyone's faces changed greatly. They would no longer doubt Yi Yuan's words. Each and every one urged their movement technique to the limits, wanting to escape this stretch of land. Right at this time, black gas rose up on the surface of the ground and enveloped everyone inside all at once. Chapter 1075, Despairing Laughter. Chapter 1075, Despairing laughter. In a blink of an eye, countless devil vines broke out of the earth. In a relatively narrow and small radius, these martial artists had no time to even run at all. Those countless devil vines towered up into the sky, sealing off all of their escape routes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Purplish-black devil vines entangled these people tightly. Not a single one escaped, including Yi Yuan and Yi Qing. With this, it was actually total annihilation. Yi Yuan was still thinking of merging into heaven and earth, but the devil vines did not give him any chance at all, directly smacking him out of the void. Yi Yuan's hands and legs were completely restrained. All the essence energy in his body actually could not be used at all. This Holy Mother Devil Flower was seriously too bizarre. That Holy Mother Devil Flower was not finished off by Yi Qing at all, but infiltrated underground in order to prepare this final blow. The more those martial artists killed, the more scattered they got, and the more powerful their strength as well. Routing individually was rather difficult, but this Holy Mother Devil Flower acted out a big play together with Jialan, appearing weak to the enemy and deceiving everyone. Arg! 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 Waves of tragic screams lingered incessantly. The remaining martial artists were also drained of blood essence one by one. Yi Yuan and Yi Qing, however, the devil vines seemed to not have the intention of making a move for the time being yet. That beautiful woman walked out from among the devil vines and came before Yi Yuan and Yi Qing, while Jialan followed closely behind. Giggle, little babies whose hairs aren't even fully grown, yet actually pulled tricks with this Holy Mother. You guys are still a bit too inexperienced. The beautiful lady said with a chuckle. This beautiful woman was peerlessly amorous, slender and graceful, blue upper garment half exposed. One look, and it could hook away a person's soul. With this chuckle, she was even more stunningly beautiful. But how could the current Yi Yuan be in the mood to go and admire her beauty? This fiendish woman was not a kind person. That was an existence that could claim lives. The devilish woman lightly caressed Yi Qing's face and said with a smile, "Azure Spirit Tree Child, even your ancestor wasn't my match. Let alone you. Allowed you some benefits, but you know how to give a plum in return for a peach, and lured so many people over. This Holy Mother really doesn't know how to thank you." Yi Qing glared at the devilish woman, bared his teeth in anger, and said, "You despicable and insidious woman, this young lord will definitely kill you personally." But the devilish woman did not care a whit. She still giggled and said, "Why does it sound like you're praising me? Little child, you can't even fend for yourself right now. Still thinking about killing me? Shameless." Yi Yuan spat. The devilish woman spun in front of Yi Yuan, her breath like orchids, as she said with a light laugh, "Little child, you're very decent. All of the people were beguiled by the Tao spirit fruit, but only you were able to maintain your original heart. Truly not easy. It's just a shame that your strength is a little weak. Otherwise, you really might pose a threat to this Holy Mother." At this time, Jialan stepped forward and said to the devilish woman, "Lord Holy Mother, this boy is this era's Son of Heaven's mandate. Not only does he have absolute heaven's vast heaven steel, even the soul-suppressing pearl, which the Heaven One sect lost, is actually in his hands too. This boy can't be spared. Lord Holy Mother better kill him as soon as possible." The moment Jialan said that, even the devilish woman was endlessly shocked too. "What did you say? The vast heaven steel and soul-suppressing pearl. These two items are both in his possession?" The devilish woman's voice raised an octave, looking at Yi Yuan with flickering bewilderment. Jialan nodded and said, "Absolutely true." He recounted the matter of just breaking open the seal several years ago, leaving the devilish woman unbelievably astonished. The vast heaven steel and soul-suppressing pearl were existences capable of threatening the fiend race, but gathered in the hands of one person. It could be seen how powerful Yi Yuan's destiny was. If it's as you said, this boy absolutely can't be spared. Forget it. Kill and be done with things here. With the death of the Son of Heaven's mandate, and, oh, body can stop the footsteps of my fiend race's ascent, said the devilish woman. No one saw the devilish woman made any action, but then vines started to devour Yi Yuan's blood essence frenziedly. The vines seemed to have grown roots and sprouted on his body, directly growing into his flesh, drawing all the blood in his body out. Yi Yuan's body started to be like the other martial artists, rapidly shriveling. This devilish woman killed people with batting an eyelid from start to end, and was not the least bit long-winded at all, killing right away. At this time, the essence energy in Yi Yuan's entire body was being controlled. He was completely unable to use an iota of strength. Yi Yuan knew that at this rate, he was dead for sure. Gritting his teeth, Yi Yuan poured all of his emperor qi into the vast heaven steel in one go. Rumble! A surge of terrifying strength that originated from the primordials suddenly awakened within Yi Yuan's body, directly sending the devilish woman and Jia Lan flying out. The devil vines immediately collapsed under this surge of power that swept away all obstacles in the way, turning into a pile of fine powder. The devilish woman's expression suddenly changed and said, "Not good. This boy is already capable of controlling the vast heaven steel." Yi Yuan gave a loud cry. He shouted, "Vast heaven steel, suppress for me." The vast heaven steel immediately flew out from inside the vast heaven pag. Oh, duh, and suppressed down on the devilish woman and Jia Lan, akin to an enormous mountain. Rumble! The earth immediately started quaking. The vast heaven steel directly suppressed the devilish woman and Jia Lan below. Yi Yuan was very clear that the vast heaven steel's suppression carried powers of law. Back then, when resisting the greater five elements' heavenly tribulation, it was evenly matched too. Using it to suppress a few fiendish things should not be any problem. Dong, dong, dong. Those vines retreated like tidewater once more. It was just that this time, the martial artists that still survived were scanty few. Even a void mystic powerhouse, like Sword 13, was also more dead than alive at this time, only left with one breath. How could those divine king experts still be capable of surviving? But Yi Yuan completely could not be bothered with them anymore. His blood essence was also drained as much as 40% in one go. Adding the 10% blood essence that using the sacred dragon token previously expended, half of the blood essence within his body was drawn away. Adding on activating the vast heaven steel, the emperor qi in his body was stripped empty. Current, Yi Yuan's entire person was dispirited and inert, also merely left with one breath hanging in there. This devilish woman was too terrifying. In just this half a day's time, close to 50,000 martial artists were actually slaughtered clean by her. However, Yi Qing's condition was much better than Yi Yuan's. He came over to support Yi Yuan and said, rather Sedley, "Sorry, it was my oversight." Yi Yuan smiled bitterly and said, "Nothing to do with you. This devilish woman is too cunning. Furthermore, she's an existence that even an ancient major power could not take care of. How could she be so easy to kill?" His voice had yet to fade when the vast heaven steel suddenly started to shake vigorously. Seeing this scene, Yi Yuan and Yi Qing's expressions both changed drastically. Could it be that this devilish woman still had the strength to spare? The vast heaven steel was already Yi Yuan's final means. If it was still useless, they could only wait to die. Yi Yuan's expression became incomparably ugly. However, the matter still developed in the worst direction. Hee, such a shame. You've only barely managed to activate the vast heaven steel and can't even use 1/10,000th of its capabilities. Using it to suppress this holy mother is still inadequate. Boy, you can go and die already. The devilish woman's coquettish voice suddenly sounded out, making Yi Yuan and Yi Qing give rise to despair in their hearts. Chapter 1076, Divine Sword, Evil Extermination. Chapter 1076, Divine Sword, Evil Extermination. The vast heavenstone steel suddenly started trembling intensely. Clouds of black gas crept out from the bottom of the vast heavenstone steel. The more black gas that gathered, the more terrifying the fiendish energy. That violent fiendish energy actually propped the vast heavenstone steel up. Rumble! The vast heavenstone steel was actually pushed flying, just like this. This surge of fiendish energy was seriously too powerful. The devilish woman's lithe figure indistinctly appeared and disappeared in the black gas. Hee, without heaven and earth laws, there's no way to achieve the deity realm. Even if you're the son of heaven's mandate, you're unable to unleash the true power of the vast heavenstone steel. You're still too tender to be suppressing this holy mother. Little child, this big sister will send you on your way right now. It won't be too painful. At this time, the devilish woman's fiendish energy surged to the sky, dyeing the entire sky black. Jia Lan's fiendish energy simply paled in comparison in front of her. However, even though the devilish woman was fine, Jia Lan's fleshy body was crushed into pieces by the vast heavenstone steel. The fleshy body that he cultivated for several years was actually ruined just like this. The current Jia Lan became a cloud of black gas once more, even emitting wailing sounds continuously. When Yi Yuan saw this scene, he revealed a look of despair as well. No wonder Jia Lan was so respectfully in front of her. Being suppressed for countless of years, she actually still had such formidable strength. The terrifying devil vines turned into sharp spikes and directly stabbed over towards Yi Yuan. This was a lethal blow. Yi Yuan no longer had strength left over to resist. Yi Qing's expression changed. 2 hands forming a seal, he similarly summoned innumerable vines, attempting to resist those sharp spikes. Signation. It was just that his vines could not stand up to a single blow at all in front of the devil vine. The sharp spikes broke through the blockade like cruce. Plussing dry weeds and SMAs. Plussing rottenwood, charging towards Yi Yuan and Yi Qing. Yi Yuan shut his eyes painfully. Even the vast heavenstone steel could not deal with this devilish woman. He was really completely out of ideas. He knew that this devilish woman still had not recovered to her peak state. Currently, once this devilish woman came into being, probably even the 10 great divine kings were not a match either. Just as Yi Yuan was at the boundary of awaiting death, a change suddenly occurred. Rumble. Inside the void, incomparably piercingly cold sword energy suddenly erupted. Above the sky, countless pale yellow sword energy surged willfully, giving people an extremely strong sense of oppression. That towering fiendish energy was actually gradually dissipated by these. Plus a ray of pale yellow sword energy tore through the sky, directly chopping down from high up in the air. The vines currently stabbing towards Yi Yuan were actually forcefully chopped in half by this ray of sword energy. The devilish woman was just being pleased with herself when all of a sudden her expression changed greatly, and she looked towards above the sky abruptly. Absolute heaven, that old B-A-S-T-A-R-D. He actually even prepared a contingency plan. This sword energy is definitely evil extermination. The devilish woman cried out in alarm, her scream filled with dread. On the face of the all along incomparably composed devilish woman, a look of panic finally appeared on her face. Seizing the opportunity where the devilish woman was absent-minded, Yi Qing grabbed Yi Yuan and sprinted into the distance. Toward Yi Qing's action, the devilish woman did not stop him at all. She had a look of panic on her face and yelled, "Quickly leave! It's the evil extermination sword. Absolute heaven, that old B-A-S-T-A-R-D, so irritating even after he died." How could the devilish woman still care about finding trouble with Yi Yuan? She immediately turned into an afterimage, speeding for the immemorial medicine garden's exit. Jialan, Sun Ma, and the rest also knew that things were bad, all fleeing for their lives like flying. Crack, crack, crack. At this time, shattering sounds came from above the void. A rift was actually directly torn open in that S.P.C. An enormous threaded pommel longsword slowly came out from within the void. The entire S.P.A.C. was trembling. The originally already incomparably piercingly cold sword energy became several times more violent at this time. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Several streaks of sword energy directly tore through the sky and struck the devilish woman and the others who were currently running with a momentum like a sudden peal of thunder, which left no time for covering ears. Ark! A series of miserable cries reached over. Those few whose strengths were slightly weaker were actually immediately ground to death by the sword energy. The devilish woman also let out a shrill, miserable scream, but her body only slightly paused for a bit before speeding hastily into the distance again. That threaded pommel longsword already appeared fully from within the void. The sword energy that exuded made Yi Yuan's scalp tingle, virtually unable to breathe. Is this the might of a deity realm powerhouse? So powerful, really so powerful. Yi Yuan could not be bothered with the injuries on his body as he muttered, after the enormous threaded pommel longsword appeared. It stopped in the air just like that. The void behind it gradually closed up. The devilish woman could not resist turning around to take a look at the longsword. Her eyes immediately became wide saucers. D-A-M-N-it. Absolute heaven, you old B-A-S-T-A-R-D. Don't let this holy mother find your grotto. Otherwise, I'll definitely dig you out and whip your corpse. The devilish woman cried out shrilly. However, the threaded pommel longsword, naturally, would not be threatened by her. After it stopped in the air for a few breaths of time, it transformed into a streak of flowing light with a whoosh, chopping towards the devilish woman. The threaded pommel longsword's speed was unbelievably fast. It drew a beautiful half-arc in the air. In virtually a blink of an eye, it caught up to the devilish woman. Arc! A shrill, wretched cry cut across the sky. Even when separated so far away, it made Yi Yuan break out in Guseb. MPS all over too. A cloud of faint black gas surged to the skies. But Yi Yuan discovered that the black gas's aura was incomparably weak, practically on the verge of withering away already. Yi Yuan used all of his abilities and was also incapable of shaking the Holy Mother Devil Flower. But she was actually nearly eradicated by this slash. Yi Yuan and Yi Qing exchanged a glance, both seeing the look of shock in the other party's eyes. Lord Holy Mother, quickly leave. The target of this slash was the Holy Mother Devil Flower, but the threaded pommel giant sword was too terrifying. Jialan was implicated by the sword energy, aggravating his existing injuries even more. However, Jialan's condition at this time was slightly better compared to the Holy Mother Devil Flower. He grabbed hold of the Holy Mother Devil Flower, transformed into 2 clouds of black gas, and vanished from within the immemorial medicine garden. All of the dust settled. Yi Yuan finally let out a sigh in relief. This great battle was truly perilous to the extreme. If that threaded pommel giant sword was any slower, Yi Yuan was dead for sure. Looking at the immemorial medicine garden in disarray, Yi Yuan sighed, unceasingly too. Over 100,000 martial artists entered inside, and were actually slaughtered easily. Even Yi Yuan did not think that this immemorial medicine garden was actually a place where an ancient major power suppressed a fiend race's major power. And this fiend race major power was even adept in schemes, and actually deceived 100,000 martial artists into breaking the formation together, letting her break free. That devilish woman's strength was too horrifying. Even if Yi Yuan possessed a heaven-defying item, like the vast Heavenstone steel, he felt powerless to handle too. Right at this time, a streak of flowing light flew over from a distance. Incomparably fierce and sharp sword energy approached from far away, making Yi Yuan's expression changed drastically. Not good. This sword wouldn't kill even us two, right? Yi Qing turned pale with fright and said. Yi Yuan shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "If it wants to kill us, we can't run either." Clank! That threaded pommel longsword flew right in front of Yi Yuan and stood in the air quietly. At this time, the threaded pommel longsword was already no longer as civ as when it just appeared. It was just slightly longer than an ordinary sword. There was not much difference. It was just that the sword, energy emanating off its body, still made one's blood run cold. Yi Yuan looked over and discovered that 2 words were engraved below the sword hilt: Evil Extermination. Chapter 10:77. Had you known this day would come, why act as you did back then? Chapter 10:77. Had you known this day would come, why act as you did back then? Yi Yuan, it wouldn't kill us, right? Sensing that oppressive sword energy, Yi Qing still had some lingering fear in his heart. The impression that Evil Extermination's unyielding slash left for Yi Qing previously was simply too deep. Yi Yuan shook his head and said, "Doesn't seem like it. It seems to be making me accept it." Yi Qing was stunned and said in disbelief, "Are you joking? This Evil Extermination sword is a divine artifact. On what basis would it want you to accept it for no reason whatsoever?" Yi Yuan struggled, wanting to get up, but because his injuries were too severe, it made him feel a wave of heart-tearing pain. "Help me over," Yi Yuan said. "I really have to go over?" Yi Qing was still rather afraid. "No, *T. If it wanted to kill us, we'd be long dead. Hurry up," Yi Yuan urged. Yi Qing had no choice and could only support Yi Yuan, following him at every step, and came before the Evil Exterminating sword. When Yi Yuan drew close, the Evil Extermination sword became resplendent all of a sudden, giving off a pale yellow light. Yi Qing jumped in fright and involuntarily took a step back. But this retreat tugged onto Yi Yuan's wounds, making it hurt until he winced in pain. "I say, you're a heaven and earth spiritual plant too, so why are you intimidated by a sword? Isn't it shameful?" Yi Yuan said crossly. Yi Qing said, rather embarrassed, "The power of Deity realm is unimaginable." Yi Yuan rolled his eyes, but he actually understood Yi Qing very much in his heart too. That attack earlier, forget about Yi Qing, even he was also deeply shaken. That was the true power of Deity realm. Yi Yuan knew that even though that blow did not surpass the limits of Deity realm, what it used was absolutely divine Tao laws. The power of that sword should be the strongest attack that could be released at present in this world. This sword made Yi Yuan feel a deep longing towards Deity realm. But Yi Yuan understood that he was currently too far away from Deity realm. Sucking in a deep breath, Yi Yuan stepped forward and grabbed hold of the Evil Extermination sword's sword hilt. Swaz. Plus Yi Yuan's entire body trembled, directly sending Yi Qing flying. Yi Qing tumbled a few rounds on the ground, scrambled to his feet, and was just about to go save Yi Yuan, but discovered to his shock that the injuries on Yi Yuan's body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. This evil extermination sword was actually helping Yi Yuan treat his wounds. Currently, Yi Yuan's entire person was enveloped in a ball of yellow light, his expression serene, an appearance of enjoying immensely. Seeing this scene, Yi Qing was incredibly shocked. Could it be that this evil extermination sword really acknowledged Yi Yuan as its master? Really strange. Yi Qing knew that Yi Yuan acquired many treasures these last few years. It could be said to be heaven-defying destiny. But something like today, where a divine artifact took the initiative to come knocking on the door, was too preposterous, right? Even obtaining the sacred dragon token, Yi Yuan escaped death by a hair's breadth too, only obtaining after Pa.S. sing the final trail. But speaking of which, the treasures currently on Yi Yuan were simply heaven-defying. Tier 9 Primordial Spirit Essence Fire, Tier 9 Origin Magnetism Spirit, Wood, Sacred Dragon Token, Vast Heaven Pag, Vast Heaven Stone Steel, Soul Suppressing Pearl. Taking any item out would drive the world insane. But something like today, where a divine artifact was urging Yi Yuan to accept it, it was really for the first time still. One had to acknowledge that Yi King Zibe, A.L.L.S. fell to the ground. In truth, how was Yi Qing the only one who Zibe, A.L.L.S. dropped onto the ground? Sword 13, the few of them, were not thoroughly dead yet. Although they had quite a bit of blood essence drawn away, they were not in danger of losing their lives. It was just that their strength would likely have to be greatly diminished. Their bodies were unable to move currently, but they did not fall unconscious. This scene of Yi Yuan taking in evil extermination landed in their eyes, nearly making them faint dead. This evil extermination's shocking/earlier, they all saw it crystal clear. That power simply sent their minds reeling. Such a supreme treasure actually acknowledged Yi Yuan as master without doing anything at all? Why didn't this sort of good thing land on their heads? Currently, Yi Yuan was basking in comfort from head to toe. The pain and fatigue brought about by the battle earlier were swept clean very quickly. Abundant essence energy flowed into his essence energy sea. Emperor Qi also rose densely. What gave Yi Yuan a pleasant surprise was that these essence energies were not ordinary essence energy, but divine essence. In the essence energy sea, that tiny bit of divine essence was going to be depleted fully very soon. He did not think that evil extermination actually replenished it for him. Before long, the divine essence within Yi Yuan's body grew to even more than when Yi Yuan entered the vast heaven pag. Though in the past, with this evil extermination sword, the power of Yi Yuan's divine king domain would increase greatly. Yi Yuan knew that these divine essences were merely a tiny residual bit of what remained after that slash by evil extermination. But this bit was already sufficient to Yi Yuan. Even if inside his essence energy sea was full of divine essence, currently Yi Yuan was also unable to unleash evil extermination's true power. His current strength was too weak. Yi Yuan completely did not think that he actually profited from a misfortune this time. Not only did divine essence spike greatly, he even obtained a divine artifact again. The Star Moon Sword was already somewhat impeding to the current Yi Yuan, absorbing so much divine essence. Yi Yuan's cultivation realm already reached peak second-level Dao Profound, looking as if he was about to break through to third-level Dao Profound already. But his current blood essence losses were too severe, and he was totally unable to break through. Helpless, he could only suppress his cultivation realm and make a breakthrough again after recovering blood essence. Done with these, Yi Yuan deployed a spell and put the vast heaven stone steel away into the vast heaven pag. Oh, duh. While at this time, the evil extermination sword disappeared with a whoosh. Yi Yuan was first startled, then immediately revealed a look of realization. Inside the vast heaven pag, oh, duh, the evil extermination sword suspended quietly in the sky above the vast heaven stone steel. The two chimed to each other across a distance, and actually seemed like old friends who had not met for many years. No wonder the evil extermination sword would acknowledge him as its master. It seemed like it was all because of the vast heavenstone steel. Furthermore, when the devilish woman came into being previously, the evil extermination sword held off on coming out. The moment the vast heavenstone steel emerged, it came into being. Looks like the crux of drawing out the evil extermination sword was still the vast heavenstone steel. Could it be that these two treasures were actually of the same source countless years ago? Finus. Plussing with all this, Yi Yuan came beside Sword 13 and the rest, and said with an emotional sigh, if you brought Jian Wushuang away back then, he wouldn't have ended up in such a state either. This world has divine objects, but it's easier said than done to want to break through to deity realm. At present, how can this heaven and earth possibly give birth to the Tao spirit fruit, this kind of miraculous item? Hearing Yi Yuan's words, Sword 13 turned his head over painfully and ashamedly. In the great battle previously, Jian Wushuang ultimately still could not escape misfortune and was killed by the devil vines. Thinking about it, how sincere was Yi Yuan's warning back then? If they were not blinded by obsession, how could they have this outcome today? Jian Wushuang's demise was a tremendous blow to the Heavenly Sword sect. Although he was not a void mystic powerhouse, he was the sect master successor that the Heavenly Sword sect spent extremely great resources to groom. With his demise, the Heavenly Sword sect would have to face the danger of an interrupted generation. The decline of a great holy land would most likely start from this incident. Yi Yuan heaved a sigh and said, "Today's situation, you all experienced it too. The fiend race has already plotted for G. Oh, D knows how many years for the sake of today. There's already not the slightest bit of meaning for us to carry on fighting internally. The spirit medicines in this immemorial medicine garden are extremely abundant. Later on, I'll refine several mystic-grade medicinal pills to help you all recover blood essence." Chapter 1078, Holy Region. Chapter 1078, Holy Region inside the immemorial medicine garden, Sword 13, Shu Yunqing Dingzhanghua, and the others, all 5 void mystic powerhouses, looked towards Yi Yuan with a grateful look. 2 months had already said since the incident with the fiend race. In this period of time, Yi Yuan collected quite a few spirit medicines inside the immemorial medicine garden and refined a batch of blood essence recovering medicinal pills, letting these few people recover blood essence at long last, including Yi Yuan. The injuries this time was too severe. Even with large ties of spirit medicines, everyone also spent 2 months' time before barely managing to recover. But after the few of them went through this, even if they recovered blood essence, their strength was greatly diminished too. These few people's age were not young anymore. This battle could be said to have greatly damaged their vitality. They were already no longer able to reach peak condition anymore. The void mystic powerhouses that entered this time, not counting Yi Yuan's side, were as many as 13 people. But currently, there were only a measly few people left. The brutality of this great battle could be imagined. Young Master Ji, this time it was all thanks to you. I am ashamed. Sword 13's grat. 1. Tood carried bashfulness, as he said. Young Master Ji saved this Shu twice altogether. Such a great favor. This Shu will never forget it. In the future, if young Master Ji has anything you need my Heavenly Dawn Palace to help with, feel free to ask away, Shu Yunqing said gratefully. He was schemed against by Hidajang the last time and almost died. It was Yi Yuan who saved him. Even though Yi Yuan SNATC head away the ice flame mystic sovereign Ganoderma, Yi Yuan saving his life was a fact. The other few people were also endlessly grateful, expressing thanks to Yi Yuan. This great battle from start to end, it was Yi Yuan restraining the Holy Mother Devil Flower and Jia Lan, these two great fiends. They all, these void mystic powerhouses, basically played supporting characters. Even that deadly slash at the end had extremely deep connections to Yi Yuan too. These few people were all extremely perceptive people. They could naturally discern that a divine artifact like evil extermination absolutely would not acknowledge Yi Yuan as master without rhyme or reason. Prior to this, their impression of Yi Yuan still stopped at that kid who only wholeheartedly knew pill refinement. But now, their impression of Yi Yuan was already thoroughly overhauled. Scheming, strength, destiny, plus alchemy path cultivation, Yi Yuan was a heaven-defying existence in all of them. The present Yi Yuan was already totally different from that Ji Qingyan back then. He had already matured into a genuine powerhouse. Everyone, no need to be courteous. Saving you all isn't, because this Yi is very kind-hearted. I just want to preserve a portion of strength for the divine realm. Probably before long, the calamity of the fiend race will utterly erupt. At that time, the human race is bound to have a great battle with the fiend race, all of you leaving behind a useful body. When the time comes, contribute a portion of strength for the human race. Yi Yuan said coolly. If it were before, Yi Yuan definitely would not care about the few of them, and just let them run their own course. But now, Yi Yuan's thinking was different. Evil extermination sword acknowledging him as master made a sort of mission spontaneously well up in his heart. Even though many things were buried in the annals of history, after going through so much, Yi Yuan knew that the war between the human race and fiend race had actually been continuing all along. The vast heaven stone, steel, should have already changed several masters. Each master likely had an earth-shaking great battle with the fiend race. The most recent one should be Feng Tian. Very clearly, the fiend race was suppressed. But no matter how they were suppressed, the fiend race did not die out. Yi Yuan walking along the way, one after another fiend race's powerful existences were clearly intentionally let out by people, coupled with the Medicine King Hall's change. The fiend race was probably scheming another counterattack to regain lost ground. And this time, it was likely different from any one time in the past. That time 50,000 years ago, there was only one heavenly fiend Ji, OD. But this time, there was the additional Holy Mother Devil Flower and Jia Lan. Once these fiends recovered strength, they absolutely did not pale the slightest in comparison to the heavenly fiend Ji. OD, where would the present human race go to find a second Feng Tian? Even the 10 great divine kings likely could not reach Feng Tian's level 2. Furthermore, what Yi Yuan was most apprehensive of was still that faction behind Ji Kanglin. Just how long had that faction been infesting in the divine realm? Yi Yuan did not dare to imagine at all. The vast heavenstone steel found him. Now, the evil extermination sword found him too, making the pressure on Yi Yuan's shoulders suddenly become heavy. Natural laws cycle. The great responsibility in this age may fall on him. Hearing Yi Yuan's words, the expressions of Sword 13, and the rest turned fearful. Those two fiends were seriously too powerful. Such a horrifying slash of evil extermination was actually unable to kill them. Young Master Ji, rest assured. After returning this time, our Heavenly Sword sect will officially declare war on the Medicine King Hall. Sword 13 pledged solemnly. Our Heavenly Dawn Palace will also declare war on the Medicine King Hall right away, Shu Yunqing said. But Yi Yuan shook his head and said, the Medicine King Hall being closed for 20 years. Their present strength we have no way of finding out. With my understanding of Ji Kanglin, he probably won't wait Sively for the end. If we're a pile of loose sand, we might suffer a huge loss instead when the time comes. When the few people heard these words, they did not say anything on the surface, but in their hearts, they were very disdainful. The Medicine King Hall's strength at their prime could only rank in the middle among the 8 great super holy lands as well. Now that Ji Zhongyang and Ji Qingyun, these 2 people were no longer around. How great could the Medicine King Hall's strength be? How many powerhouses could be created in 20 years' time, with 2 great super holy lands declaring war on them at the same time? The pressure on them would increase suddenly. Even if they sought refuge from the fiend race, how many powerhouses could the fiend race groom in 20 years' time? Super Holy Land's powerhouses, the majority had a kind of fervent self-confidence. Of course, one could not say that they were wrong to have this sort of fervent self-confidence, because in normal understanding, they were that group of people standing at the very summit of the divine realm. They controlled the direction of the entire divine realm. Yi Yuan knew that this sort of perception could not be changed in a short time. He thought about it and said, how about this? After you 2 return, notify Sect Master Jian and Palace Lord Lin first. This ye will head for the Holy Region within the next few days, and inform those few old fellows about the fiend race's matters. Let them come forward and unite the other holy lands to launch an attack towards Ji Kanglin together. At that time, he'll be hard-pressed to escape, even if he grew wings. Among the 8 great super holy lands, the Holy Region was one of the most powerful super holy lands. Those few old monster S powerhouses, each and every one of them was not at all inferior compared to the 10 great divine kings. The divine realms matters were normally each acting of their own free will, but everyone would still answer and gather under the Holy Region's rallying call. The state of affairs was so serious this time, Yi Yuan reckoned that those few old fellows should also be incapable of sitting still anymore. As long as they eradicated Ji Kanglin and dug out the faction behind them, then dragged the Holy Mother Devilflower and Jialan in seriously injured conditions out, the crisis of the fiend race would be easily resolved. All right, then we'll have to trouble young Master Ji to make a trip. When we eliminate Ji Kanglin, I welcome young Master Ji to come to my Heavenly Sword sect to be a guest. I'll take my leave here. Done talking, Sword 13 immediately left the immemorial medicine garden. Young Master Ji don't need to worry too much. That Ji Kanglin throwing his lot with the fiend race has already infuriated public wrath. He absolutely won't have a good end. Once this matter is over, young Master Ji must come to my Heavenly Dawn Palace to be a guest, and let this Shu carry out the hospitality of a host somewhat. Shu Yunqing and Ding Zhangwu greeted and also left. Chapter 1079, Reverse Checkmate. Chapter 1079, Reverse Checkmate. Looking at the few people's departing back view, Yi Yuan could not help shaking his head and smiling bitterly. Seemed like Sword 13, and Sword 13 did not take his words in at all. But a super holy land's every movement and action was also not that easy. He needed to hurry and make a trip to the Holy Region. With a bout of great battle, the entire immemorial medicine garden was already in utter disarray. Those few million-year-old medicine spirits had long run to D knows where. The matter of finding spirit medicines, Yi Yuan could only give up as well. 2 months had said. The outside world still did not know what kind of accident happened. This trip to the Holy Region was best as soon as possible. At Cloudmarsh City, inside the City Lord Manor, Old Man Han furrowed his brows when he finished hearing Yi Yuan giving an account of the immemorial medicine garden's events this time. Old Man Han, you're also a divine, Realms Bigwig CLA. S figure. It's absolutely impossible to not have heard about the Fiend Race's matters. Now that the Fiend Race has come into being, once more, you probably can't look on with folded arms, right? Yi Yuan said. Old Man Han said with knitted brows. Such an important matter. This old man naturally won't look on with folded arms. When exterminating the Medicine King Hall, send a word. This old man will naturally make my way over. It's just that, sigh. As Old Man Han was talking, he let out a long sigh. The Holy Mother Devil Flower coming into being virtually extracted all of the immemorial medicine garden's essence, energy, dry. The current immemorial medicine garden was practically just an empty husk. Those several dozen million-year-old spirit medicines virtually all fled in all directions and could not be gotten back at all. With a great battle, no idea how many spirit medicines were ruined either. Just think about it. A great battle that affected over 100,000 martial artists. That destructive power was simply unimaginable. The entire immemorial medicine garden was practically a wasteland. Without the immemorial medicine garden, Cloud Marsh City's status in the divine realm would naturally be greatly reduced. As Cloud Marsh City's city lord, Old Man Han naturally had sorrow in his heart. Yi Yuan looked at this scene in front of him, but he simply said with a cold smile, Old Man Han, your skin is really getting thicker and thicker. I had a great battle inside the immemorial medicine garden with Fiend Race and barely escaped death. You actually still want to extort the spirit medicines on me. Old Man Han had a problem. That was that he liked to collect all kinds of spirit medicines. Even though this was the common disease of all alchemists, Old Man Han was clearly much more ill than the others. This Cloud Marsh City did not restrict outsiders from entering the immemorial medicine garden. But the things that martial artists obtained inside the immemorial medicine garden, Cloud Marsh City took a cut. Below void mystic experts. Even if they were a peak divine king, they also had to hand over the share obediently. Otherwise, they would die very miserably. These several thousand years, how many spirit medicines Old Man Han collected was already unimaginable. The immemorial medicine garden's upheaval this time. Only Yi Yuan the few of them escaped. Old Man Han naturally wanted to take his share of the loot. However, Yi Yuan rebuffed him with a word. Old Man Han's face did not turn red, nor did his heart beat any faster. He said with a broad smile, the immemorial medicine garden is already ruined. This Cloud Marsh City of mine won't live up to its reputation anymore. Younger brother G, you can't fold your arms and not save me from ruin. Yi Yuan shook his head and said with a smile that was not a smile, Old Man Han, don't give me that. The Fiend Race lurked by the side, but you did not detect it all, resulting in poking such a large hole in the basket. My small life was almost lost inside. Aren't you going to give me a bit of compensation? Old Man Han was stupefied, not expecting Yi Yuan to actually make a false countercharge. Younger brother G, making a joke, don't take it for real. I don't want it anymore, all right? Old Man Han joked about it. Yi Yuan said with a smile, Old Man Han, don't think that I'm joking with you. I recently want to refine some medicinal pills and just happen to still lack several spirit medicines. Have a heart and compensate me. Old Man Han was startled and said with a black face, Younger brother, you know that spirit medicines are this old man's lifeblood. If you really have designs on them, don't blame me for not being courteous. Old Man Han was a first-rate expert, an apex existence in the divine realm. Even void mystic powerhouses did not dare to be impudent in front of him too, but Yi Yuan did not buy it in the slightest. Don't you want to know how I escaped from the hands of the Fiend Race? Old Man Han, how about we try it out You can give it a shot whether your medicine garden can still be preserved or not. Yi Yuan threatened. Old Man Han's face became black as the bottom of a pot. Currently, his intestines were already green with regret. If he had long known, he would have met Yi Yuan outside and not bring him inside. Previously, hearing Yi Yuan talk about the events inside the immemorial medicine garden, Old Man Han was very astonished in his heart too. Over 100,000 martial artists all died inside. The fiend race's strength was definitely incomparably fearsome. How did Yi Yuan escape? Old Man Han was very confident in his own strength. But facing Yi Yuan, he had no confidence in protecting his medicine garden. The immemorial medicine garden was even ruined, let alone talk about his medicine garden. Finally, Old Man Han still yielded. You punk, when did you become a scoundrel? Forget it, forget it. Consider yourself ruthless. Whatever spirit medicines you required, pick yourself. But above 300,000 years, you're absolutely not allowed to take them away. Old Man Han said, hatefully. He did not expect that he failed to fleece a sum and was blackmailed by Yi Yuan instead. Yi Yuan chuckled and said, Don't you worry, the spirit medicines for my refinement, 200,000-year-old, is already enough. Looking at Yi Yuan pluck away the spirit medicines in his medicine garden, one stalk by one stalk, Old Man Han's heart was dripping blood. Yi Yuan, any discovery yet? Huang Tianming asked when Yi Yuan returned to the residence. Through 2 months plus of refining medicinal pills, Huang Tianming finally recovered to his peak state. When he was informed about that unbelievably tragic battle in the immemorial medicine garden, his shock could not be any greater. And today, Yi Yuan going to extort Old Man Han was not targeting his spirit medicines at all. He felt that Old Man Han was very suspicious, so he deliberately wanted to go and probe things out. Except, the result made him very disappointed. Yi Yuan shook his head and said with furrowed brows, Old Man Han is a cunning old fox. He doesn't have any flaws at all. But I keep feeling that he's somewhat unusual. He has been adjacent to the immemorial medicine garden for several thousand years. Could he be completely unaware of the situation inside? Moreover, the news of the divine rank spirit medicine coming into being this time was also very fishy. I initially thought that it was news disseminated by the Medicine King Hall, but thinking back for a bit, it doesn't feel too probable either. If say who's the most convenient to spread this intel, it's naturally Cloudmarsh City. With this bout of probing today, Yi Yuan did not find any clues at all. Huang Tianming let out a sigh and said, The matter of the fiend race is complicated and confusing. The only thing that we can be certain right now is the Medicine King Hall. Looks like wanting to open up new prospects. There's only starting from the Medicine King Hall. Yi Yuan heaved a sigh and said, There's only like this. It's just that those few old fellows from the Holy Region aren't that easy to convince. Huang Tianming said, The matter concerns the rise and fall of the human race. It's not up to them to not take it seriously. Yi Yuan shook his head and said with a bitter smile, The higher the cultivation realm, the greater the power, and the more selfish. Plus wanting them to take action. It is difficult. The two people were currently chatting when Wan Shuangzhou suddenly came in to report. My lord, someone who calls himself Yu Jianfeng arrived outside, saying that he's paying a visit to Miss Li Er. Yi Yuan was stupefied and could not help being somewhat doubtful. What did the Yu family send Yu Jianfeng to come to find Li Er for at this time?